WWF, what the world is watching. Turn it on and rip the knob off.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Wrestling Memory Grenade. Now at episode 140. Wow, where does the time go? I am your host, Ray Russell, bringing you back to 1988 and the World Wrestling Federation this week as we jump into August news and results in just a moment. But before we do that, guys, I want to thank all the listeners for all the great feedback from last week's episode. But most importantly, I want to thank Bob Smith, the former managing editor of the old Aftermags. And boy, you want to talk about a memory grenade, getting to go back in time and talk about the magazines with Bob and all the time he spent working on them and finding out that Bob actually not only created the idea of the PWI 500, but he, by himself, compiled the list of the very first two PWI 500s, and those meant the most to me. I was the youngest, I was the most impressionable, and I bought into them, hook, line, and sinker. Used to carry those magazines around with me in the house for weeks on end after they came out. Back in the early 90s, and of course, Bob spent time working with the ECW promotion in its infancy. We talked about all sorts of things, but before all of that, Bob Smith was simply a wrestling fan like each and every one of us, going back talking a little NWF and the Cleveland territory, and then the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, the debut of one Vincent Kennedy McMahon as the new announcer there in the early 1970s. Fun time, had a blast. Can't wait to have Bob back on down the road. But it's with that I have the distinct pleasure of announcing that Bob Smith and his Outdated Wrestling Hour podcast are now part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. You heard me right, guys. After such a great interview, me and Bob had a couple conversations. In fact, we're definitely on the same page in this thing. And so once again, it is my honor to announce Bob Smith and the Outdated Wrestling Hour podcast, now part of the WrestleCopia brand. Keep an eye out for it. It's going to drop each and every Friday, midnight Eastern time. That's the Outdated Wrestling Hour with Bob Smith. But now, guys, getting back into the swing of things here, back into the WWF 1988 project. Last time we left you, we were closing out the month of July, WrestleFest 1988. Hope you guys have had a chance to join that VIP superfan tier over at patreon.com/WrestleCopia. And enjoy the video cast along with me and, of course, WrestleCopia's own Gene Jackson, covering the entire show, beginning to end, nearly 3 hours of fun, 15 matches on the card, WrestleFest 88 in the books. And with that, we look ahead to SummerSlam, the debut edition of SummerSlam 1988. But in order to get there, we got to get through the month of August. And it all starts right here this week with August news for 88 in the World Wrestling Federation. And what do you know? Mean Gene Okerlund is back, guys. As it appears, Okerlund's contract with the WWF, too lucrative to stay away for any real period of time. So Mean Gene back after taking just about a month off. Maybe he was given that month off, but Okerlund going to be toned down just a little bit, reportedly, in the dirt sheets. Moving forward, it's stated that Mean Gene will likely only do stuff like Saturday night's main event, the SummerSlam update segments. And thanks to the invention of the event center, Mean Gene not going to have to go out to the TV tapings, not going to have to conduct those arduous promos throughout the TV tapings. I'll be curious to see if we see Okerlund back sooner rather than later as part of All-American Wrestling. But have no fear, the Mean Gene voice has returned to the update segments to the WWF intro right now. It was fun hearing the Fink slide in there for a few weeks, but it's good to hear Mean Gene back. As we continue on here, I dove into the Observer, and right now we're going to look into some notes as DeMeltz talks SummerSlam, or as he calls it, Summer Scam. He says, AKA, how little can you give the fans on a major pay-per-view event and still draw an audience? Boy, that's some unbiased journalism there by Mr. Dave Meltzer. Summer Scam. is what he calls the pay-per-view. As Dave goes on to say, about the only thing on the card, besides the main event, that anyone is talking about is wondering who Brother Love will be interviewing in the ring. They are billing it as someone who has never been in the WWF before, which Meltzer says limits it to the newcomers, Owen Hart, Terry Taylor, or Kurt Hennig. Dave's guess is it would be Kurt Hennig. Well, that would make sense if that was the situation. We fast forward a couple weeks into the Observer, and DeMeltz changing his tune. He says Brother Love's guest will not be a wrestler, so everyone out there should quit speculating about it, even though he's the one that kind of built it up. Supposedly, it's rumored that Jessica Hahn of Jim and Tammy Baker fame will be the guest of the Brother Love show, although negotiations in that direction may not have gone through. You think, Meltz? Now, you guys might be asking, who was Jessica Hahn? Who is Jessica Hahn? She's still out there. Hahn first came to public attention 1987 after the disclosure that televangelist Jim Baker, anybody from the 80s remembers him, he had paid for her silence in response to an allegation she made of rape from him and yet another televangelist who were huge at the time, multi-million-dollar corporation there, the PTL Satellite Network and Heritage, using the church there for a big organized scam. Now, according to Hahn, back in December 1980, when she was only 21 years old and a church secretary, she alleged that she was drugged and raped by Baker and another preacher, John Fletcher. Now, Hahn was given about $300,000 at that time, which today would be closer to $750,000, $750,000. And they gave her that money in order to pay off her silence. Geez, no wonder Vince wanted her on the show. And that money, of course, came from the church's funds. Now, by 1988 time, Jim Baker had already been exposed and Hahn had already done Playboy. Boy, she didn't waste any time, did she? And of course, she started her very famous stint popping up on the Howard Stern show from time to time throughout the next, say, 15 years. So that's who the get was supposed to be at this point, according to Meltzer. I don't really know how that situation goes. Of course, the rumors would continue. They would change from a newcomer to Jessica Hahn here to eventually Meltzer stating that it was left open for the debut of one Nature Boy Ric Flair, who was having his issues in Crockett country at this point in time. Little did we know that Crockett was also having issues paying the bills. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see how this Brother Love show plays out at SummerSlam. As we go into news involving the Intercontinental title, says after the announcement of their final showdown at SummerSlam between Brutus the Barber Beefcake and the Honky Tonk Man, Smart Money has been on the IC title switching over to the Barber, but judging from the TV tapings here in August, guys, that may not be the case. Actually, in the early set of tapings, set to air 2 shows before SummerSlam and 1 show after, there was a dark segment recorded prior to the 3rd week of tapings, which would air after SummerSlam, with the Ultimate Warrior stealing the Honky Tonk Man's Intercontinental title. And while on first look, it seemed to serve no purpose, Warrior then carried the belt out for him during that final set of TV tapings, which will air, again, post-SummerSlam, the weekend following, which could mean Warrior will win the title sometime during the week of the SummerSlam pay-per-view. Now, to further that idea, there was another set of TV tapings recorded the week before SummerSlam. All of those shows will air after the pay-per-view. And in a dark match to open the event, Honky Tonk Man out there issuing an open challenge, with Warrior accepting and beating Honky for the belt. Sound familiar, guys? In order to have it for the TV matches upcoming throughout the rest of the TV taping, they would explain to the fans why Warrior was already IC champion. And then later on, at the end of the taping, it's reported that President Jack Tunney orders the belt, the Intercontinental title, returned to Honky Tonk Man due to the match being non-sanctioned for the title. Clever ways they used to do things and try to make it work. Makes sense for the fans in attendance as well as us at home. Even further adding to all of those rumors, without going into too much detail here this early in the month of August, guys, during these TV tapings here in August, we will also see an issue with Brutus the Barber Beefcake going down in the ring, which may have written him out of the pay-per-view altogether. So, could the Warrior Man be replacing the Barber at SummerSlam? Could UW be about to claim his first taste of gold here in the World Wrestling Federation? We won't have to wait long to find out. And last but not least, on the Summer Scam front, DeMelt says Finally, the word is that at SummerSlam, Miss Elizabeth will show up wearing a robe. And at a key point during the matchup, she will drop said robe and be in nothing more than a string bikini and high heels. I don't know where the heels came into play there, Dave. Maybe your own fetish, but he says this will in turn distract either Andre the Giant or Jesse Ventura and lead to a babyface win. Only distract Andre or Jesse? Why not Dibiase? What are you trying to imply here, Meltz? Also, he says, remember, however, this is a story the WWF is actually planting on upcoming TV episodes because they are hoping the idea of Elizabeth in a bikini will be able to sell this dud of a show. And it probably will, believe it or not. So says DeMeltz. As we continue on, it looks like it's good news for bad news, as in Bad News Brown, who almost got rich in the Canadian lottery, getting 5 of 6 numbers correct and getting paid $68,000. Wait a minute. Is that Canadian or US dollars? Never mind. So 5 out of 6 numbers. One more correct would have netted Bad News a cool $6 million. So we were that close, guys, to seeing a gimmick change from Bad News Brown to Good News Brown, or even better, the new $1 Million Man. Boy, wouldn't that have been something? Bad News moving up from the streets of Harlem to the limousines. Maybe make DiBiase his butler. Who knows? As we continue on, it looks like the WWF going to invade Crockett country for the first time ever. Here in the month of August 7th to be exact, WWF ran a show, Greensboro, North Carolina. Boy, they really are in Crockett country, making their debut in the city. Now, it wasn't that long ago they ran Winston-Salem just prior to WrestleMania 4. Drew a sellout, guys. But this was the Greensboro Coliseum, remind you. And with the debut here, they bring the big guns. Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant in the main event, which only manages 3,670 fans. Even Dave Meltzer had figured that Titan's debut there, especially with Hogan and Andre on top, would sell the place out. But Dave speculates that Crockett has less to worry about in the main cities than he originally figured. Believe it or not, Dave, Crockett has a lot of other things to worry about here in the summer of '88. As we continue on, news involving boxing legend Sugar Ray Leonard. He's planning a boxing match reportedly on Thanksgiving night on pay-per-view, which would go head-to-head with the WWF's Survivor Series program. And while they draw different audiences, Meltzer says Leonard, he's more of a drawing card than Hulk Hogan, and it may hurt in some clearances. Now, this changes drastically over a week or two here in the Observer reports, as not only is the fight on a completely different day than Thanksgiving, in fact, much earlier, November the 7th, but Titan will actually wind up promoting the event along with the boxing promoters. As even a couple weeks later here in the department of Sugar Ray Leonard camp, we learned that the WWF's role for promoting the big fight against Lalonde is strictly to handle the pay-per-view end of things, not the actual boxing show itself. Of course, the WWF acknowledged as experts at this point in dealing with pay-per-views. You can't really argue that coming out of WrestleMania 3. Now, planned for post-SummerSlam feuds, one of the big ones will continue on. It appears Jake the Snake Roberts versus Ravishing Rick Rude will indeed continue, with Jake bringing wife Cheryl Roberts to be his second in matches leading into the fall, which, if the scenario goes as originally planned, according to DeMeltz, some months back it was stated that Rick Rude would bring in his sister to work in his corner, so the WWF can do a girls' feud without involving Elizabeth, who they like to remain untouched. I'll just leave that there. So, at least according to the Observer, the initial plans, the original plans, were for Cheryl Roberts to come in, of course, Jake Roberts' wife, and work a catfight type feud alongside Rick Rude's sister. Would have been interesting. Here's a shocker. The Iron Sheik has once again been fired for the same reason he constantly is being fired for. So Sheiky baby no more. He lasted all of a month here, coming in around, I think, July 7th. He's going to finish up somewhere around August 7th here. It was good to see the Sheik make the rounds and pop up on TV a couple times anyway. We'll talk a little bit more about him when we get into the results department, but Sheik is not the only one to leave the company. Preliminary mainstays Jerry Allen and Terry Gibbs finished up with the company back in July. Meanwhile, Brady Boone, currently out with an injury, and I don't know that he will return either. at this point. While names like Sandy Beach and DJ Peterson are currently being put into place on the house shows over the summer events, going to replace Jerry Allen, Brady Boone, and the like. So Sandy Beach making the rounds in the summer of '88, as is Dave DJ Peterson, who had the look and the tools that just never really caught on beyond the AWA. Now, Dave says, despite the rumors to the contrary, the one-man gang and Greg Valentine are still with the WWF. I don't remember those rumors, Dave. So is Oliver Humperdinck. So Hump's still here, even though Bam Bam Bigelow took his gear and left the MSG crowd. It's reported that Humperdinck's still getting a weekly check as an idea man, pitching ideas to the bookers. But his managing days appear to be over. Well, to be fair, guys, we still have the Big Kahuna to look forward to, as well as Big Daddy Dink. Good God! But Oliver Humperdinck no more here in the WWF, as you guys can expect a newcomer by the name of, well, I guess you can call him a newcomer, at least to the Hogan-era World Wrestling Federation. I'm talking about Baron von Raschke, going to make the jump over from the AWA, looking to show up soon as the new manager of the Powers of Pain. Now, I won't argue the duo clearly need a mouthpiece, but unless the Baron going to break that German character voice, this ain't it. Cool visual, though. Baron in his cloak, standing aside the Powers of Pain. In the Where Are They Now department of things, former WWF wrestler Natural Butch Reed has been competing on the rodeo circuit as a bulldogger since his wrestling departure after WrestleMania 4. Now, Butch Reed going to pop back up in the wrestling business, return to the Ted Turner version of NWA in January 1989, and of course, Doom going to be born within a year's time from there. As we continue on with the news, Owen Hart made his official TV debut with his new handle. Dave calls it the Blue Laser. That's with an L. Dave speculating that at the Philadelphia Spectrum, they actually, quote-unquote, screwed up and announced Owen Hart as the Blue Blazer. What kind of name is that? Dave said like a sports coat or something. Couldn't be the Blue Blazer, had to be the Blue Laser. Right, Dave? Maybe a playoff of Lasertron? Now, as we'll see here in the results in August, Owen going to work some nights without the mask, work as himself, Owen Hart, but also eventually going to be titled the Blue Blazer. So we find out it was indeed correct after all. The only mistake here was in the Observer. And we will actually also see some of the earlier matches here heading into the new month. Owen going to be referred to as the Blue Angel with a god-awful mask. But we know by the end of the month they're going to settle on the Blue Blazer. But Blue Angel coming to you in Los Angeles and many other towns early in the month of August. As we continue on, WWF also signed Rod Trongard. Yes, hired him away from the AWA. Going to be doing house show telecasts along the likes of Lord Alfred Hayes, Superstar Billy Graham. What a group. You know, honestly, I thought Roger Kent was just fine in his role, but whatever. Rod Trongard, the latest to join the WWF announce team. We'll have to wait and see how long that lasts. As one final bit of news here, Hacksaw Jim Duggan recently appeared on The Late Show. Ted DiBiase scheduled to appear on August 16th, and Jesse Ventura also scheduled to appear prior to SummerSlam. And if this is indeed the Joan Rivers-led Late Show, it'll actually be canceled within 2 months' time from August of '88. But she had a nice 2-year run up against Johnny Carson of all people. So, Joan, I guess you should have hired that ace comedy funny man, Bob Orton, to write your jokes. Shout out to those who get that joke. As we get ready to jump into things, August results here. Going to look at tons of results leading up to the big SummerSlam pay-per-view. But before we get there, guys, let's take a listen to this.
Hey everybody, Gene Jackson here, inviting you to check out the Retro Wrestling Review, where each week I'm joined by some great co-hosts who help me review classic episodes of USWA Championship Wrestling, and right now we are doing week-by-week reviews of 1993. But we don't just do reviews, sometimes we get a chance to interview some of the people who were there and lived it, plus do watch-alongs. It's a lot of fun, so check out new episodes that drop every Wednesday at WrestleCopia.com, and to find links to everything associated to the podcast, you can go to USWApodcast.com.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here, curator of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, inviting you guys to listen to many of the programs here as part of the WrestleCopia brand, including, but not limited to, the Wrestling Memory Grenade, currently covering the 1988 and the WWF project. You can also listen to the Regional Wrestling Podcast, where we talk the territories, whether it's Jamie Ward with Georgia 81, Roman Gomez with the UWF in 1986, or Gene Jackson covering Memphis in 85. 3 projects going on right now over there at Regional Wrestling. You can also listen to the Wrestling Stoop with the legend himself, Bob Roop. Bob goes back in time each and every week, covering not just his career, but countless stories and interactions with hundreds of wrestling names spanning his 2 decades in the business. But that's not all. You can also check out the Puro Wrestling Academy with the professor of Puro Resu, Mr. Dan Ginnity. Dan and I go back in time and cover the history of Japanese professional wrestling in the English language. And you can listen to all of those shows and more, all part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, located over at WrestleCopia.com. That's WrestleCopia.com, and anywhere your podcast streaming needs are met, from Apple to Spotify, Pocket Cast, and beyond. And while you're at it, why not subscribe to our social media guys for all the latest goings on here at the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Plus, I'm constantly adding old school video clips and pictures from throughout wrestling history. You can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter, at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. Also, follow and like me, Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. And why not subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. And of course, now would be a fantastic time to become a WrestleCopia patron. I'm talking about that $5 all access tier over at patreon.com/WrestleCopia. That address again, patreon.com/WrestleCopia, where you get so many gifts for just $5, including all of my insanely detailed show notes for every episode of The Grenade Show, Regional Wrestling, and the Monday Warfare podcast. You'll also get early access to a lot of the podcasts here on the WrestleCopia brand, where you can listen days and sometimes as much as a week earlier than the rest of the listeners. We also offer remastered versions of the earliest episodes of The Grenade Show, covering the 1989 NWA project. Includes enhanced sound quality, plus new content and conversation never heard before. But that's still not all, guys. You also get at least a dozen digital downloads for your viewing and reading pleasure each and every month, plus random bonus video drops, and of course, the Patreon exclusive Watch Along series, covering many past WWF and WCW events. And if that's not all, videocasts, also now a part of Patreon. And for those who like all of their podcasts in one nice, neat little pile, the WrestleCopia Patreon also offers a Patreon exclusive Spotify account. You can actually go over to your Spotify with your WrestleCopia Patreon credentials. Instead of listening or downloading directly from Patreon, you can go over to Spotify, listen to all the latest shows, including all of the early releases. And you get all of that and so much more for just $5. No subscription, cancel anytime. Give it a try for a month, guys. I think you'll like the content that I offer, and every penny of it goes right back here into paying the bills. So if you're looking to support that next up-and-coming podcast brand, please consider making it WrestleCopia. Help me pay some of the bills to keep the WrestleCopia Podcast Network and all of the great shows here up and running for the months and the years to come.
This is Wrestling Nostalgia, the podcast that dives into wrestling history. Hey, wrestling fans, I'm Dave Dynasty, and if you enjoy podcasts that are knowledgeable and history-driven, then Wrestling Nostalgia is for you. With great guests and fun interviews, there are over 200 episodes in our archives. We chat with several first-time guests and often cover topics not discussed on other podcasts. Look up Wrestling Nostalgia on your favorite podcast platform and visit all of our links at linktree/WrestlePod. That is linktr.ee/RASSLEPOD. And remember, wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.
All right, so many great podcasts going on right now here at the WrestleCopia brand. Bob Smith, the Outdated Wrestling Hour, the latest to join, but of course, Gene Jackson, the Retro Wrestling Review, and Dangerous Conversations with Doug Gilbert. Of course, Dave Dynasty and the Wrestling Nostalgia Podcast. All the great guys over at the Other Ship. And we can't forget all the projects going on at Regional Wrestling and so much more. But right now we continue on with the Grenade Show as we continue on looking at August results for 1988 here as all roads lead to SummerSlam. And don't forget, guys, to head on over. Stop by the historyofwwe.com. Great site kept up by Graham Cawthon and, of course, Richard Land. Click on that 1988 results link and scroll along with me. Going to take a look at a lot of results here that I've accumulated over the years. And, of course, I've used that site as well to kind of double-check, fact-check a lot of the results I have, and I've even found some in the process. So great job over there at the historyofwwe.com, guys. As we get rolling with August results for 1988 and the World Wrestling Federation, including 2 sets of TV tapings. 2 sets of tapings going to take place here in early August and right before SummerSlam as well, setting up TV for most, if not all, of September. So this should be a telling month. As we get rolling here, August 1st, Welland, Ontario. At the Welland Arena, going to see Owen Hart without the mask over Iron Mike Sharp, Iron Sheik defeating Richard Charland, JYD over Danny Davis, Hammer Greg Valentine pinning Rock Don Morocco. It's the Rockers over the Conquistadors, and then all 12 men brought back out at the end of the night for a 12-man, $5,000 Battle Royal won by Rocker Shawn Michaels. Already picking up singles wins here. Rocker Shawn Michaels going over there in Welland. As we continue on, also August 1st, Flint, Michigan at the IMA Sports Arena. Going to see matches like Jim Neidhart versus Lanny Poffo. Killer Bees taking on the fabulous Rougeaus. Patera goes one-on-one with Dino Bravo. Can't wait for that to end. Bad News Brown still taking on the Hitman. IC champion Honky Tonk versus Brutus Beefcake. And in the main event, WWF champion Randy Savage versus the $1 Million Man. No results for that show, but it is overall a unique card versus what we're going to see moving forward. As we fast forward 1 day's time, August 2nd, Wrestling Challenge tapings taking place at the Hera Arena. Hey, I've been there. Dayton, Ohio, in front of 8,000 fans. Dark match is going to see the Blue Angel over Barry Horowitz, Andre the Giant defeating Big Jim Duggan. Several matches then taped for TV, including primetime wrestling. A couple of matches going to air August 15th, includes the Junkyard Dog battling the One-Man Gang to a double countout. Haven't seen a whole lot of the gang lately, and probably for good reason. Also August 15th on primetime, going to see the Ultimate Warrior over Tom Burton. Another match tape for primetime going to air September 13th, going to feature Dangerous Danny Davis, still with manager Jimmy Hart. Davis scoring a win over the Cowboy Scott Casey. And then a couple of matches taped for future episodes of the international version of Wrestling Challenge. You're going to see the Bolsheviks down the Killer Bees, still together. And also Hulk Hogan pinning King Haku. And you guys may say, well, I'd like to see that matchup. Well, you guys can check it out right now as part of the Coliseum video. Hulkamania 4. Hulk Hogan pinning King Haku here at the Challenge taping. Now, as for the talent that did not appear at the Wrestling Challenge taping, they were in Allentown, Pennsylvania, at the old Ag Hall, in front of just 1,000 fans. Some of the matches on the card: Terry Taylor over SD Jones, Mike Sharp defeating George Scotland, Ken Patera pinning the Iron Sheik, mother the fuck, Greg Valentine over Don Morocco, and the British Bulldogs defeating tag team champions Demolition by disqualification. Wow, the demos aren't at the TV tapings? You'd think that would be all hands on deck leading into SummerSlam. As we move on to Superstars tapings, Wheeling, West Virginia at the Civic Center, August the 3rd, sellout crowd of 7,200. Dark match is going to see Andre over Duggan and the Ultimate Warrior defeating, and we talked about this, Honky Tonk Man to win the Intercontinental title in just a matter of seconds. Now, later on in the show, as I pointed out, President Jack Tunney will have that decision reversed and the title returned to Honky Tonk. But there's still more in the dark match department. WWF Champion Randy Savage over the $1 Million Man, and Hulk Hogan pinning Bad News Brown. Boy, talk about getting some wins out of the way in a hurry. I do believe Bad News was undefeated up until this point, unless he lost a match or two against Bret Hart, I don't recall. Now, also part of the Superstars taping, matches slated to air August 15th, Jake Roberts over Danny Davis with the DDT, and Ted DiBiase scoring a win over Jumpin' Jim Brunzell. Then from there, it's an International Wrestling Challenge match, King Haku over Sam Houston with the big kick across the side of the face, and another matchup, taped for primetime, not going to air until August 22nd, Hercules defeating DJ Peterson with the torture rack. But we're still not done. Look at this, guys. We'll see this air on Spotlight, September the 3rd weekend. Bolsheviks over the team of David Studemeyer and Gene Ligon. Interesting to see Ligon appear here for the New York territory. And that's our first set of tapings, at least the matches that don't air on TV. We'll be covering the Superstars and Wrestling Challenge matches as we get to the TV programs. We roll on to August 4th, Rochester, New York at the War Memorial. Match is going to see Iron Sheik versus Scott Casey, Boss Man over Lanny Poffo, Powers of Pain defeating the Bolsheviks, King Haku downing Junkyard Dog, Demolition over the British Bulldogs, retaining those titles, IC champion Honky Tonk Man versus Brutus Beefcake. I don't have the finish for that one, though I do believe it had to have ended in a schmoz. Jimmy Hart barred from ringside. And in the main event, Randy Savage will retain the WWF title versus the $1 Million Man, so bringing all three championships to Rochester. August the 4th. Also, August 4th, Altoona at the Jaffa Mosque. 3,000 fans to see the fabulous Rougeaus over the Killer Bees. Bad News Brown pinning the Hitman Bret Hart. Big Jim Duggan pinning Frenchie Martin. JYD over the One Man Gang by pinfall. Yikes, gang. Also, the Anvil Jim Neidhart scoring a win over Terry Taylor. And the main event that night in Altoona, going to see Ravishing Rick Rude defeat Jake the Snake Roberts on a countout. As we continue on August the 4th, 1,300 fans here at the John S. Fine High School Gym in Nanticoke, Pennsylvania. Not familiar with Nanticoke. Gonna have to look that one up. It's Owen Hart minus the mask over Barry Horowitz. George Steele defeating Danny Davis on a countout. The Rockers over the Conquistadors. Greg the Hammer Valentine scoring yet another win with the Rock Don Morocco. Ultimate Warrior over Hercules with the big splash to end the night there at the high school. Not a bad little card there for a high school gym, honestly. As we continue on August the 5th, Springfield, Massachusetts at the Civic Center, 2,700 fans to see the Boss Man over Lanny Poffo. Powers of Pain defeat the Bolsheviks. Ron Bass over Birdman, Coco Beware. WWF Champion Randy Savage defeating Ted DiBiase by DQ after interference from Virgil. Also on the card, Iron Sheik putting away Scott Casey. IC champion Honky Tonk over Brutus Beefcake, and tag team champions Demolition defeating the British Bulldogs. Also, August the 5th, White Plains, New York at the Westchester County Civic Center. Owen Hart over Barry Horowitz, Mike Sharp defeating SD Jones. It's the Dog over the Gang again, this time on a DQ. Dino Bravo scoring a win over Kent Patera, and the main event is the Rockers over the Conquistadors. Boy, the White Plains crowd got shafted. Would love to know the numbers they did that night. As we roll on, here we go. 10 nights in a row. Look at this C show, or maybe a D show here. But 10 nights running from August 5th through August 14th. The same card every night in the likes of St. Lucie County Civic Center in St. Pierre, Florida. The Palmetto, Florida Manatee Civic Center. Also in Fort Myers, Florida. Stuart, Florida. Mount Dora, Florida. St. Augustine, Florida. Perry, Florida. Finally moving out of Florida into Albany, Georgia, Montgomery, Alabama, and Athens, Alabama. A lot of the smaller towns there. 10 nights in a row. Again, August 5th through the 14th. Going to see the same card every night. Sandy Beach over the Gladiator. Rick Hunter. So Rick Hunter going to bring the ring there. Ring crew, Rick Hunter, driving the big truck. Then he gets into his old Gladiator gear. Going to do the job for Sandy Beach to open the shows every night. Also, Battle of the Baby Faces. This could have been interesting. Killer Bees over the Young Stallions every night. Ladies Champion Sensational Sherry downing Rockin' Robin. Greg Valentine over Don Morocco. And the Ultimate Warrior pinning the Mighty Hercules. As we continue on August the 6th in Montreal, Quebec at the Forum, 15,000 fans. Going to see Terry Taylor over Sam Houston. Iron Sheik down Richard Charland. Jake Roberts over Ravishing Rick Rude. King Haku defeat the Junkyard Dog. Powers of Pain over the Bolsheviks. Dino Bravo scoring a win over Hillbilly Jim. That's what you're going to bring to Montreal. Dino Bravo versus Hillbilly Jim. And in the main event of the night, Randy Savage retaining his title, pinning Ted DiBiase in a no disqualification match. That had to be fun. As we continue on, and the footage is out there for this one. WWF headed to the Boston Garden on August the 6th, drawing 8,000 fans on the Nesson Sports Network. Included Sean Mooney, Lord Alfred Hayes, and superstar Billy Graham on commentary. Right now, guys, before we get into the swing of things, lots of matches coming up here. But first, we're going to hear from a troupe of the stars involved in the big card. Going to hear from Brutus, the Barber Beefcake, and Georgia, the Animal Steel. Of course, the Barber going up against the Honky Tonk Man and Peggy Sue in his corner. We're going to hear from both champion and challenger in that department. $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase scheduled to take on the Macho Man Randy Savage. Demolition here Defending their titles against the British Bulldogs, Hacksaw Jim Duggan going one-on-one with Andre the Giant, the fabulous Rougeaus. Taking on the Hart Foundation, toughest task to date, no doubt. Birdman Coco Beware one-on-one with the Outlaw Ron Bass. Bad News Brown, who was originally announced to go up against Coco, he'll actually wind up taking on Scott Casey here, guys. So we're going to hear from a group of promos here in several event centers, and then we'll come back and talk a little more.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney here at the WWF Event Center, and I'll be right here during this hour keeping you up to date with all the news in the World Wrestling Federation. I also want to tell everyone right here in the Boston area that it is just a couple of weeks away when World Wrestling Federation action returns August 6th to the Boston Garden, and it will be a night you will not soon forget. We have a WWF return title match here. The Macho Man, Randy Savage, to take on the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Also, another title match for the Intercontinental Championship. Honky Tonk Man to face Brutus the Barber Beefcake. And a great lumberjack match, Hacksaw Jim Duggan to meet Andre the Giant. A non-title bout for Axe Smash of Demolition. They will face the British Bulldogs. Coco Beware to meet the Outlaw, Ron Bass, and the Hart Foundation in tag team competition against the Rougeaus brothers. Let's get back to that Intercontinental Championship. Brutus the Barber Beefcake will face Honky Tonk Man, and he will have his girlfriend, Georgia.
I guess we all know something new about you, Jimmy Hart. You like to play dress-up, like to wear wigs. That's just fine, because I got somebody I'm going to get to bring down to ringside to be in my corner. And her name is Georgia. My new girlfriend, Georgia. Come on in, Georgia. No! Come, don't be shy. No! You have to understand, Georgia's a little shy. She's got a few animalistic characteristics, you could say. Maybe a little on the heavy side. Well, hey, surprise! But she's my new girlfriend, Georgia. Oh, yeah. How do you feel about the barber, Georgia? Barber! Oh, good! I hope you're listening to good, because you're not going to get away this time, Honky.
Well, I'm sure you are anxious, as I am, to find out just what Georgia looks like. We'll find out August 6th. The Macho Man, Randy Savage, fuel has been added to this fire against the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
That was great, Virgil. It was great. Poor Elizabeth crying over her fallen champion. Well, don't throw that crying towel away yet, Elizabeth, because you're going to need it again. To take the words right out of your mouth, Savage. I set you up, that's right. I paid off the brain and the giant to distract you. And yes, I Pearl Harbored you right from behind and made you eat some concrete. How's it feel, Savage? How does it feel to get hit from behind? Do you remember WrestleMania 4? Now you belong to me.
World Wrestling Federation action returns to the Boston Garden. It happens Saturday night, August 6th. We're back at the WWF Event Center. It's right here at the Boston Garden, August 6th. It is going to be some night. We will have the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions here in a non-title bout against the British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid. Now, the British Bulldogs have been marching up the ladder, and they have become a most noble opponent for Axe and Smash of Demolition. They are standing by right now with their manager, Mr. Fuji.
Let me tell you, Bulldogs, look at my man, the Demolition. Look how big they are. And look at yourself with your mingy munt.
The whole object of this game is to get these. Well, unfortunately, you ain't even gonna get a chance. Because when we get through with you in a non-title match, you ain't gonna be able to get out of the ring to get a title match.
You bring your little manager around, the four-legged kind. You lean over and you ask Matilda for some advice. It's pretty sick. You got two grown men asking a dog how they're gonna win a match. I'll tell you how you win a match. You win a match with these and these right in your face, Bulldogs.
Axe and Smash of Demolition. That will be a great tag team matchup. We've also got another great one, a lumberjack match. You know the rules to this one. All the wrestlers on the card surround the ring. If one of the wrestlers leaves voluntarily or involuntarily, he is thrown back into battle. Hacksaw Jim Duggan to meet Andre the Giant.
Now, there's no athlete today in sports that is as big or as powerful as this man. So who are you going to have around that ring to pick him up and throw him in? And what makes you think you're going to knock him out? You're lucky once. It'll never happen again.
Jigsaw Duggan, believe me, I said that before, I will say it again. You wake up a very mad giant. And Duggan, you're going to pay for that. You may be saying you tough guy,
But you should ask all those guys I get through. For all those years I've been wrestling. Jigsaw Duggan. I have my 10 by 10 right there.
Andre the Giant, the 8th wonder of the world. We will have a winner in this match when Andre the Giant faces Hacksaw Jim Duggan August 6th, right here at the Boston Garden. And right now, the World Wrestling Federation has a crush for you. Welcome back to the WWF Event Center. Earlier on, we mentioned some great tag team competition. The Action Smash of Demolition faced the British Bulldogs. Well, we have more. The Hart Foundation, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Bret the Hitman Hart to take on the fabulous Rougeaus brothers.
And this is Raymond, and we're the fabulous Rougeaus brothers.
You know, Hart Foundation, one funny thing is, you think you have a chance in beating us? I mean, you seem to have problems in your own camp. You seem to be confused.
They have a manager. They don't have a manager. They have a manager, and we don't have a manager. We don't need a manager. You know why? Let me tell you something, Hart Foundation, because we're just simply fabulous. That's all.
That's right, guys. So get your act together, because you're going to face us.
The fabulous Rougeaus, Jacques and Brayman. We have a big WWF return title match. Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, he has angered the champion, the Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Andre the Giant. And you ugly bodyguard Virgil, yeah, you're all a part of it, yeah. But the worst person, yeah, is where the money lies, yeah. That's you, DiBiase, yeah, I know you, yeah. You've set me up before, but you've set me up for the last time. Isn't that right, Elizabeth? I'm sincere right now. I'm gonna get you, yeah, you and your dirty money. I've tasted it for the last time. And I'm talking that Andre the Giant and Bobby Heenan, you sold your soul. You've done it before, but you've done it for the last time this time. Virgil, you and DiBiase, I'm gonna get you all at one time. I'm gonna smash you and beat you, yeah. Virgil, I'm gonna get you, yeah.
Well, many of you may have seen that recent incident involving the $1 Million Man attacking the champion Macho Man, Randy Savage, in a recent interview. That is going to be some matchup when those two meet once again right here at the Boston Garden. But that is just part of the action. The Hart Foundation, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Bret the Hitman Hart to take on the fabulous Rougeaus brothers, Jacques and Brayman. Coco Beware to face the Outlaw, Ron Bass. Non-title bout for Action Smash of Demolition. They will take on the British Bulldogs. Intercontinental Championship on the line. The Honky Tonk Man to meet Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Georgia will be in Beefcake's corner. Lumberjack match. Hacksaw Jim Duggan to meet Andre the Giant. And the Macho Man, Randy Savage, to take on Ted DiBiase. All this at the Boston Garden, August 6th, 8:30 p.m. start. Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney here at the WWF Event Center. And the news here in Boston is World Wrestling Federation action will return to the Boston Garden Saturday night, August 6th. We will have an 8:30 p.m. start, and it is going to be something. In a return title match for the World Wrestling Federation Championship, the Macho Man, Randy Savage, will once again defend his title against the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. We've also got a lumberjack match. Hacksaw Jim Duggan to take on Andre the Giant. Intercontinental Championship on the line. The Honky Tonk Man defends his title against Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Georgia is going to be in Beefcake's corner. And a non-title bout, Action Smash of Demolition, they will take on the British Bulldogs. The Birdman, Coco Beware to meet the Outlaw, Ron Bass. And this one, the fabulous Rougeaus brothers in tag team competition against the Hart Foundation.
Guess what, Anvil? The Rougeaus brothers have reared their ugly heads again. And they're talking about the Hart Foundation, that the Hart Foundation doesn't have its act together. Well, let me tell you something, Jacques. And Ramon, the Hart Foundation is back. And we're better than ever. Right, Anvil?
We don't need Jimmy Hart. The Hitman and I, we're going to do things our own way. The fabulous Rougeaus. They're so obnoxious.
They are the Hart Foundation, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Bret the Hitman Hart. But there is more. Andre the Giant in a lumberjack match with Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Andre, the first time I stopped on down to the ring, nobody had to throw me in there to face you. Well, nobody's going to have to throw me in a lumberjack match because I'm going to be standing right there looking at you. And if it just so happens, old Hacksaw pops you a good one and you go outside the ring, just imagine 5 or 6, 7 or 8 or 9 guys trying to throw you back in the ring.
throw you back in the ring to me, because I'm not going nowhere. I'm going to be standing there right by my handy 2x4. And Bobby the Weasel Heathen, you keep your nose out of my business, because I'm going to have some of my friends as those lumberjacks out there, and they're going to be cheering for old Hacksaw. So, Andre, it's happened before, and it can happen again, tough guy. Ho!
Hacksaw Jim Duggan, he will have Andre the Giant right where he wants him in that lumberjack match. It will take place at the Boston Garden August 6th. But right now, the World Wrestling Federation has a crush for you. We're back at the WWF Event Center. And all you great wrestling fans here in Boston, we will have a night of World Wrestling Federation action soon. It will happen August 6th at the Boston Garden. One match you absolutely will not want to miss. The Birdman. Coco Beware, Frankie, will be in his corner. He is to face the Big Texan. He is the Outlaw, Ron Bass.
Coco Beware, you know, I kind of like to get me a little feather pillow. You know, you got that old chicken sitting up there on your shoulder. You go out to the ring, he's kind of flapping in my wings. You know, I think he'd make a pretty good fellow. And, you know, I don't know if he'd be good eating or not. He's probably awful crazy. He's awful tough. But let me tell you something. The Big Outlaw, when Miss Betsy goes snapping around that little fella and he starts flying, them feathers start hopping and bumping, I hope you get good and mad. Because I don't like to go in there and have a match with somebody that ain't trying, that somebody ain't mean, and somebody ain't bad. And that's what I'll do.
Well, we heard from the Outlaw. Now let's hear from his opponent, Coco Beware.
Outlaw Ron Bass, trying to be Marshall Dillon. Well, I'm going to tell you one thing, Outlaw Ron Bass. It's going to take more than Sue Baby, brother, or Bessie, if you want to call, to take care of the Birdman. Because, brother, hey, when you're hot, and you can't be stopped. And you think you can stop me? Well, you get ready. Because the Birdman will be waiting on you. And don't make a foolish mistake, because if you do, I'm gonna power drive!
The Birdman, Coco Beware. He will meet the Outlaw, Ron Bass, at the Boston Garden August 6th. And Hacksaw Jim Duggan, this is going to be a great one. A lumberjack match. He will take on Andre the Giant. He's standing by with Bobby Heenan.
A lumberjack match? Come on, Duggan, you've been using that board on yourself, maybe. Look at the size of this man. You can put 200 guys around that ring and AAA. If he wants out, he's out. If he don't want to get back in, he's not getting in.
But Jigsaw, you may be putting me down with that 2x4, but there's no way can you throw me out of the ring. I will stand there and I will cover you for the count of 1, 2, 3. Remember that, Jigsaw Duggan. You the one.
You know the rules of this lumberjack match. All the wrestlers on the card surround the ring. If a man leaves voluntarily or involuntarily, he is thrown back into the battle. A lumberjack match at the Boston Garden, Saturday night, August 6th, 8:30 p.m. start. Welcome back to the WWF Event Center. And we will have 2 titles on the line at the Boston Garden, August 6th. One for the World Wrestling Federation Intercontinental Championship. Brutus the Barber Beefcake, he's after it. He will face the champion, Honky Tonk Man.
You know, Beefcake says his girlfriend's going to be at ringside. She's ugly, she's got hair. And she goes, oh, yeah.
It's George Steele. Here's the thing, Jimmy. Here's the thing. He's invited Peggy Sue back to ringside with the Honky Tonk Man. And he's got somebody, he said, his girlfriend standing back lurking in the shadows that we can hear it coming over the TV screen. It's going, you. It's got animalistic tendencies. Hair. It's got hair all over it. And you want me to bring Peggy Sue back, Brutus? You want me to bring her back after what you did to her the last time? Oh, you deserve the rematch. I'm somebody over there like what you have. I'm not going for this. Peggy Sue's not going to be around for anything like this either. She don't like it.
The Intercontinental Champion, the Honky Tonk Man. The $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, has another shot at the title, but there is all new heat involved in this one. He'll face the champion, Macho Man, Randy Savage.
You guys had a big party, didn't you? Throwing me around like a piece of garbage, huh? And showing Elizabeth what it's like, yeah, to be at the bottom, yeah. Well, I'm telling you right now that the party's over, yeah. The party's over, yeah. For you, $1 Million Man, yeah, you set me up. But it's the last time, yeah. I'm gonna get you now. I'm gonna get you big time, yeah. You and that ugly bodyguard Virgil, I'm gonna get you both, yeah. Because this is the time that you can close your bank account. Because I got you, yeah.
The World Wrestling Federation champion, the Macho Man, Randy Savage, his manager, the lovely Elizabeth, will be by his side, providing inspiration as he faces the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. But we have more. The Hart Foundation, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Bret the Hitman Hart. They will face the fabulous Rougeaus brothers, Jock and Raymond. The Birdman, Coco Beware, to take on the Outlaw, Ron Bass. A non-title bout for Action Smash of Demolition. They will face the British Bulldogs. Intercontinental Championship on the line. The Honky Tonk Man to face Brutus the Barber Beefcake. And watch for Georgia and Beefcake's corner. A lumberjack match. Hacksaw Jim Duggan to face Andre the Giant. And a return WWF title match. The Macho Man, Randy Savage, to meet Ted DiBiase. All this at the Boston Garden Saturday night, August 6th. Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney here at the WWF Event Center. And oh, what a night it is going to be, August 6th, starting at 8:30 p.m. at the Boston Garden. That will be a Saturday night. And it is going to be some evening of World Wrestling Federation action. Just listen to these great matches that are going to take place. The Hart Foundation, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Bret the Hitman Hart. They will take on the fabulous Rougeaus brothers, the Birdman, Coco Beware, to meet the Outlaw, Ron Bass. A non-title bout for Action Smash of Demolition. They will face the British Bulldogs. Hacksaw Jim Duggan to meet Andre the Giant in a lumberjack match. And this one for the World Wrestling Federation Championship, a return title bout. The Macho Man, Randy Savage, to defend his title against the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Also the Intercontinental title on the line. Brutus the Barber Beefcake to meet the Honky Tonk Man.
You know, Beefcake says his girlfriend's going to be at ringside. She's ugly, she's got hair. And she goes, oh, yeah.
It's George Steele. Here's the thing, Jimmy. Here's the thing. He's invited Peggy Sue back to ringside with the Honky Tonk Man. And he's got somebody, he said, his girlfriend, standing back lurking in the shadows that we can hear. We can hear it coming over the TV screen. It's going, you. It's got animalistic tendencies.
Hair.
It's got hair all over it. And you want me to bring Peggy Sue back, Brutus? You want me to bring her back after what you did to her the last time? Oh, you deserve the rematch. I'll be glad to give you the rematch. But this thing about having somebody over there like what you have, I'm not going for this. Peggy Sue's not going to be around for anything like this either. She don't like it.
The Intercontinental Champion, the Honky Tonk Man in Georgia, will be in Beefcake's corner. The fabulous Rougeaus brothers, they will take on the Hart Foundation.
You know, Hitman, the Rougeaus are awfully obnoxious. You know, they're saying, what's with the Hart Foundation and all the pink? They're calling us a bunch of sissies. Hey, you see this? You see that right there? That's a heart. Something you know nothing about.
Let me tell you something, Jacques and Ramon. I didn't like you a long time ago, and I certainly don't like you now, and I'm looking forward to facing the fabulous Rougeaus brothers. Alive and kicking, the Hart Foundation.
The Hart Foundation, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Bret the Hitman Hart, at the Boston Garden. They will meet the fabulous Rougeaus brothers on August 6th. And right now, the World Wrestling Federation has a crush for you. Welcome back to the WWF Event Center. And we are going to have a great tag team match taking place August 6th. It will involve the British Bulldogs. They have worked long and hard, climbing their way back to the top. They will face Action Smash of Demolition.
What is this, Bulldog? Is it a joke that you want a championship match? But first, you prove yourself to the Demolition and Master Fuji.
Yeah, you stinking goose! Why don't you turn around and ask that little manager of yours, that mangy mutt? Maybe she'll help you.
Are you getting sick and tired of waiting in line? It's gonna be a long time, Bulldogs. You're nothing. You're nobody. And after this match, you're still gonna be nothing and nobody. We're gonna take you all the way down.
Action Smash of Demolition, along with their manager, Mr. Fuji. Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. He's got another shot at the champion, the Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Andre the Giant. You Bobby Heenan, yeah, and you ugly bodyguard Virgil, yeah, you're all a part of it, yeah. But the worst person, yeah, is where the money lies, yeah. That's you, DiBiase, yeah, I know you, yeah. You've set me up before, but you've set me up for the last time. Isn't that right, Elizabeth? I'm sincere right now. I'm gonna get you, yeah. You and your dirty money. I've tasted it for the last time. And I'm talking that Andre the Giant and Bobby Heenan, you sold your soul. You've done it before. But you've done it for the last time this time. Virgil, you and DiBiase, I'm gonna get you all at one time. I'm gonna smash you and beat you, yeah. Virgil, I'm gonna get you, yeah.
The Macho Man, Randy Savage. He plans to make the $1 Million Man pay for his part in that recent attack. That is going to be a return WWF title match. But that is only part of the action. The Hart Foundation to take on the fabulous Rougeaus brothers in tag team competition. Coco, beware to meet the Outlaw, Ron Bass. A non-title bout for Action Smash of Demolition. They will face the British Bulldogs. The Honky Tonk Man defends its Intercontinental Championship against Brutus the Barber Beefcake. You can expect Georgia in his corner. A lumberjack match, Hacksaw Jim Duggan to meet Andre the Giant. And that return match with the Macho Man, Randy Savage, as he takes on the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. It all happens at the Boston Garden, Saturday night, August 6th. We've got an 8:30 p.m. start. Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney here at the WWF Event Center. And it happens tonight at the Boston Garden, an 8:30 p.m. start. World Wrestling Federation action returns. And once again, let me remind you of all the spectacular matches that are going to take place. And a non-title bout, Action Smash of Demolition. They will face the British Bulldogs. The Birdman, Coco, beware to square off against the Outlaw, Ron Bass. The Hart Foundation in tag team competition against the fabulous Rougeaus brothers. And there is more in a return WWF title match. The Macho Man, Randy Savage, will defend his title against the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Also a lumberjack match featuring Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Andre the Giant. But there is more. The Intercontinental Championship on the line. The Honky Tonk Man to defend his title against Brutus, the Barber Beefcake.
Yeah, let me introduce you to my new friend. My new friend, Georgia. You say, she's going to be in my corner from now on, Honky Tonk Man. Because you've had Jimmy Hart, you've had Peggy Sue dancing all around the ring, creating all kind of nuisance getting in the way. Well, that's going to stop, man. That's all over, because I got Georgia in my corner now. Come on out, Georgia. Man! Come on out. Don't be shy now, Georgia. Come on out. Man! There you go. You got to excuse Georgia because she's a little shy. She's got a few animalistic kind of characteristics, you might say. But, boy, she's all mine. Come on in, Georgia.
Look for Georgia in Beefcake's corner in this one. Andre the Giant in a lumberjack match with Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Andre, you're hollering that you want a piece of Hacksaw Jim Duggan? Well, I'm no wallflower. If you want me, like the game show host says, come on down, and we're going to have a surprise. We're going to have all kinds of guys around the ring to throw you back in or throw me back in if we get tossed out. But understand one thing, Giant. I stood toe-to-toe with you before, and I can do it again. You just don't steal a dream of a lifetime from Hacksaw Jim Duggan and walk away from it, tough guy. Hey!
Hacksaw Jim Duggan. We will have a winner in this one when he faces Andre the Giant tonight at the Boston Garden. Right now, the World Wrestling Federation has a crust for you. Welcome back to the World Wrestling Federation Event Center. It is happening tonight at the Boston Garden. Tag team competition. You will not want to miss this one. Action Smash of Demolition to face the British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid. They're standing by with Matilda.
You know, the British Bulldogs have been beating all the tag team wrestlers in the World Wrestling Federation, and now we've got a chance at Demolition. Demolition, we're going to take those belts. Our foundation, I'm sorry to say, there's going to be nothing left of you. Isn't that right, Dynamite?
That's right, David boy. Demolition, when we get in the ring with you, we're going to run circles around you. You're going to drop like two big Clydesdale horses with your tongues hanging out. You're going to roll over on your back. We're going to cover you 1, 2, 3 and take those belts away from you. Isn't that right, Matilda?
They're out to prove they do indeed deserve a title shot. The Macho Man, Randy Savage, in this return bout with the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. This one is hot.
That's right, Savage. I knocked you off that podium and I made you eat some concrete, and I stood by and I watched Andre the Giant choke you senseless. Why? Because I'm a good businessman. I'm a good businessman, and a good businessman makes money like I do, and I've got it all. But a good businessman knows one thing. It doesn't matter how you get it done, as long as you get it done. And I have said it for a long time. I will have the World Wrestling Federation heavyweight title. Return match, Savage. This match shouldn't have to take place, and you know it, Big Hughes. You know I beat you senseless the last time we were in the ring. And if it weren't for the World Wrestling Federation continuously protecting you, the belt would be mine now. But what goes around comes around, Savage, and yours is coming around fast. Take that to the bank.
The $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, the last time he was here, the World Wrestling Federation Championship eluded him. He has another shot at the title against the Macho Man, Randy Savage. That is only one of the spectacular matches taking place. The Hart Foundation They are going to face the fabulous Rougeaus brothers in tag team competition. The Birdman, Coco Beware, squares off against the Outlaw, Ron Bass. Action smash of Demolition in a non-title bout against the British Bulldogs. The Honky Tonk Man to defend his Intercontinental title against Brutus the Beefcake. A lumberjack match, Hacksaw Jim Duggan to meet Andre the Giant. And a return bout, the Macho Man, Randy Savage, defends his title against the $1 Million Man, Ted Dibiase, at the Boston Garden tonight.
All right, so you guys heard from top to bottom the who's who here on the card tonight, but we're not quite done yet. As up next, we have live promos featuring Lord Alfred Hayes conducting several interviews with a lot of the talent as they arrived to the building here at the Boston Garden. We're going to hear again from the Outlaw Ron Bass, Coco Beware, the fabulous Rougeaus, Mr. Fuji and his Demolition, Bad News Brown. I'll see you guys on the other side.
Hello, everybody. We're back again. My guest at this moment is the big, burly cowboy who frightens everybody with that particular instrument there he calls Betsy. But
Miss Betsy, get it right.
I'm awfully sorry, Miss Betsy, but tonight you're going against a very determined young man, Coco Beware.
You know, Hayes, it seems like Mr. Coco Beware, he likes to go out in the ring. He's got that little chicken on his head. He's flapping his wings, you know, and they're up hollering, screaming. The people, the music's are playing. The people are up going, yeah, Coco, get in the ring and do it, brother. Let me tell you something, Mr. Coco Beware. That's where the dancing stops. When the music stops, then you start to be a wrestler. Then you're going to look across the ring, and you're going to see the big cowboy. You're going to see the big outlaw looking at you eyeball to eyeball. Then you're going to wonder, is Frankie going to be enough to get me going? Well, he ain't going to be enough, because Miss Betsy's over in the corner. If she wants, she'll go over and pluck every feather that chicken's got out, brother. We might make us a new pillow. And as far as you and myself, Mr. Coco Beware, I hope you're high flying, because I'm going to ground you.
Well, there you have it from Cowboy Ron Bass and Miss Betsy, but they're going against Coco Beware. Yeah. Hello, everybody. My guest at this moment is a very charismatic Coco Beware. Yeah. And he goes against tonight a man who is obviously a very, very fearful opponent for him, Outlaw Ron Bass. But let me talk about one other thing. You're in SummerSlam 88. Incidentally, I don't see Frankie Beware.
You see, Frankie's getting ready for the SummerSlam 88, brother. I'm telling you, he's working out and everything. He's getting all fired up. I'm getting all fired up tonight, but only one thing, I got to take care of this big outlaw, Ron Bass. Well, I will take care of you, Ron Bass, because you're nothing but a stepping stone to me, punk, and don't you ever forget it.
Well, he won't forget that, I'm sure. But the point is this. If you do beat Ron Bass tonight, you figure your chances in SummerSlam 88 against Big Boss Man as being excellent.
That's right. You see, my chances would be bigger and better, brother, in the SummerSlam 88, because you see, in the World Wrestling Federation, you gotta take them all, brother. Bigger they are, harder they fall. But get ready, boss man, because I'm looking for you in SummerSlam 88.
We'll be right back. Hello, everybody. We're back again, and as you can see at this moment, my special guests are Jacques and Raymond Rougeaus, the fabulous Rougeaus. Tell me, why do you keep waving those flags?
You know, Lord, it's just because we love the United States so much. We just go everywhere with our flags, and we want to make sure everybody sees them.
And you, Jacques, what are you saying?
Well, I'll tell you what, before I say anything about how people love us, because, you know, we love them too, and we love America. It took us time to realize it, but now that we do realize it, we love you out there. And the most important thing is I think it's SummerSlam coming up, because, you know, the British Bulldogs have been saying, well, how can you like United States when you don't even come from the United States? But, Lord, where do they come from?
Well, they come from England, but I think they're exceptional wrestlers, and they're not terribly impressed with you.
They're good.
However, your opposition this evening, the Hart Foundation, they say you don't stand much of a chance again.
Well, you know, Lord, I think the Hart Foundation has enough problem of their own. I mean, please, look at the way they're dressed. Hot pink tights. And there's a little dissension in the Hart Foundation, isn't there, Lord? So we might capitalize on that.
Well, you might think
Lord,
there's dissension, but there may
I don't want to cut you off, because I know you like to be on TV. But, you know, a lot of people like us to come, since they know we're moving to the United States, they want to know, where are you guys moving? Well, we have a phone number. It's 1-800-FABULOUS, and you can call us and ask us to go live in your city.
I don't think you're going to get too many calls there, Fabulous.
Oh, you'd be surprised. You got a lot of mail.
We love
got a
us.
lot of mail.
However, you are going to see the Fabulous ones in action against the Hart Foundation. That coming up. We'll be back.
We'll beat them, too.
Hello, everybody. I'm Lord Alfred Hayes, and my special guests at this moment are the Demolition Axe and Smash. They have an extremely important match tonight against the Bulldogs. before I come to them, let me first go to their manager, Mr. Fuji.
Let me tell you, Hayes, and let me tell you, Bulldogs, tonight, my man gonna make you suffer. Suffer like the dogs you are.
Well, just like Master Fuji says, we're gonna make him suffer. When you people are up in the audience and the sweat starts coming down because the arena's so hot, the Bulldogs are gonna wish they're not even here because they know what X and Smash can do. We beat people up.
You know something, Lord Alfred Hayes? I'm getting sick and tired, and every time I turn around, I see another stinking Englishman. I want you to be right there at ringside. I want you to talk to the Bulldogs after the match. I want you to pat them on the back, pat them on the shoulder, and say, "Good show, old chap, but you didn't get the job done. We're still the champions. You're going to have to tell them that, and I want you to tell them there's no return."
You heard it here from the Demolitions. We'll be right back with a lot more action. Hello, everybody. We're back again. My guest at this moment is a man who hasn't yet tasted the bitterness of defeat. And tonight he goes against a really tough Texan, Scott Casey. I have with me Bad News Brown. How do you see your match, Bad News?
There's only one way I see it. This broken down cowboy, he must think he's John, the new John Wayne or something. But let me tell you, Casey, or whatever your name is, you have never in your life ran into the person that you're going to run into when you climb into that square circle tonight with me. You're not down on the range breaking bulls or whatever the heck you do. You're going to be in there with a man from the experience of the streets of Harlem, who rode the subways, who walked the streets, who walked all through Central Park and come out in one piece. Let me tell you, Scott Casey, you are not the American hero that you think you are. You want to be the one that be the first man to beat Bad News Brown.
There you have it from Bad News Brown. We'll be right back with his match and a lot more action.
Well, there you hear it. More great promos here for the Boston Garden. And hey, guys, dial 1-800-FABULOUS right now. Let the Rougeaus know where you want them to move here in the USA. As we go off to the ring, got to look at some results here. It's Outlaw Ron Bass over the Birdman Coco Beware. Fabulous Rougeaus stealing a win over the Hart Foundation, believe it or not. The Hitman applying the sleeper hold on Brother Raymond. Jacques coming off the middle rope from behind. Double axe handle in between the shoulder blades of the Hitman. Down goes Bret Hart, and the Rougeaus going to steal the win there. Also, Lanny Poffo with a poem for Lord Alfred Hayes, but it doesn't do him any good. DJ Peterson going to actually score an upset win here over Poffo. At one point in the match, Lanny actually executes a springboard somersault senton, and even that wasn't enough to put away DJ, who turns a Poffo power slam attempt into a small package, scoring the win. As Billy Graham quips at the end of the matchup, Lanny Poffo gave his very best effort, and he still didn't win. Total burial job there from the superstar on Leaping Lanny. Also on the card, it was indeed Brutus the Barber Beefcake with Georgia, the Animal Steele. You may guess George Steele in drag out here in his corner. And even mine in a dress here alongside the Animal, because why not? But it is the Honky Tonk Man, the champion, going over with Peggy Sue, a.k.a. Jimmy Hart in drag. Honky Tonk going to steal the win with the help of the megaphone there. So much for Georgia. Hey, Brudi. Also on the card, tag champions Demolition successful over the British Bulldogs. As we get a replay of the WrestleFest finish, Dynamite going to have Smash in the octopus hold. Axe going to blast Dynamite from behind with Fuji's cane. Demolition will retain. Also on the card, Bad News Brown over Scott Casey with the Ghetto Blaster, and the Macho Man Randy Savage defeating the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase on a countout. Match goes just over 6 minutes. Kind of short for a Savage DiBiase match. But the big news here is what happens post-match. Elizabeth trying to get in the ring. DiBiase very upset that he was counted out, grabbing hold of Miss Liz by the ankle and won't let go, torquing at her foot and thus seemingly injuring the ankle of the lovely Elizabeth. DiBiase chased backstage and Savage having to carry his manager to the back. As we close out the night, big lumberjack matchup. Going to see Andre the Giant pin Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Very fun finish. Shows an exposed turnbuckle. Andre rammed into the buckle and knocked outside after the 3-point stance and clothesline. But Andre not going to be helped back inside by those lumberjacks. The Giant fighting off all of the lumberjacks, re-entering the ring on his own and actually dropping Duggan and scoring the win for the 8th Wonder of the World. Now post-match, we get a little wild brawl there with the lumberjacks. Andre clearing some of the baby faces momentarily, but it's Hacksaw with the trusty 2x4, breaking it over the back of the Giant and sending the heels packing as we conclude the night. A fun night here at the Boston Garden. Also, August the 7th, Greensboro, North Carolina. We talked about the draw of 3,600 fans. The first ever show here at the Greensboro Coliseum. Going to see the one-man gang over DJ Peterson. Terry Taylor defeats Scott Casey. It's Lanny Poffo over Trent Knight. Wow, another Crockett job guy. Trent Knight, a preliminary, appearing here on the Greensboro Coliseum card. I love it. King Haku pinning the Junkyard Dog. Powers of Pain over the Bolsheviks. Powers of Pain not long ago defected from Crockett Country. It's Ravishing Rick Rude, former NWA Tag Team Champion Rick Rude, defeating Jake Roberts on a countout. Tag Champions Demolition over the British Bulldogs. And Hulk Hogan defeating Andre the Giant by disqualification after interference from Bobby the Brain Heenan. Now the fans do get the big leg drop from the Hulkster, but only a DQ here in Greensboro. Also, August the 7th, Toronto, Ontario, Maple Leaf Gardens, 8,500 fans. Going to see the Iron Sheik defeat Joe Milano with the Camel Clutch. Milano subbing for the now gone Jerry Allen. Sheiky Baby going over there in what I believe is probably his final match here in this run with the company. Also, Sam Houston over Iron Mike Sharp. Ron Bass defeating Coco Beware. It's the Fabulous Rougeaus again stealing a win over the Hart Foundation. Bad News Brown pinning Hacksaw Jim Duggan clean with the Ghetto Blaster. And that's done for purpose, guys. It's to build Bad News up as they return later this month to the Garden. Bad News Brown going to take on Hulk Hogan just prior to SummerSlam. Also on the card here, Intercontinental Champion Honky Tonk Man pinning Brutus Beefcake again with Georgia in his corner. The megaphone used once again in the finish. And WWF Champion Randy Savage over the $1 Million Man inside a steel cage. Savage going to escape over the top after ramming Dibiase face first, not into the cage, but rather into bodyguard Virgil. Randy Savage will retain their cage match in Toronto. As we go on, we got some sound bites queued up here, guys, for an upcoming show that takes place in Manchester, New Hampshire, of all places, at the JFK Coliseum. Right now, we're going to hear from the likes of Dino Bravo, the Big Boss Man, Jimmy Hart going to talk on behalf of Dangerous Danny Davis, and we're even going to hear from Ken Patera. Stay tuned for results here of this show in Manchester.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney here at the WWF Event Center. And I want to tell everyone right here in the Manchester area, do not miss an exciting evening of World Wrestling Federation action coming your way Sunday night, August 7th at the John F. Kennedy Coliseum. What a night it is going to be. Just listen to these great matches coming your way. Special Delivery Jones. He will be here to take on Dangerous Danny Davis. The exciting new tag team, the Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, they will face the Conquistadors. And Ken Patera, the former Olympian, to take on Canadian strongman Dino Bravo. And remember, they will arm wrestle first, then they will wrestle. And I like this matchup. Tito Santana, he is now in singles competition. He will face one tough opponent in the Big Boss Man, the former prison guard from Cobb County, Georgia.
You know, Chico, you thought I forgot about you, didn't you, homeboy? You know, you committed the biggest crime of all time. That's right. You humiliated the Slicker, WrestleMania 3, brother, in front of 93,000 people. Tore my clothes off and revealed my precious body. But let me tell you something. Law and order has arrived, and you got dues to pay. Right on, homeboy?
That's right. You're going to find out the boss man's an instrument of justice. By the time I get through you, boy, you're going to be saying yes, sir, to fire hydrants.
The Big Boss Man with his manager, Slick. That will be some matchup when he takes on Tito Santana. Ken Patera, you've got an arm wrestling match against Dino Bravo.
USA, 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 Ken Patera. Start screaming to USA, because I'm going to tell you one thing. You're going straight à l'hôpital, Monsieur Patera, parce que t'as fait une erreur. You've made a mistake. You've signed that contract. And not only are you going to have to prove to your USA friends who you are and who you were, I don't care, because you're going to know who you're facing. The world's strongest man, the man that's going to teach you a lesson, Ken Patera. And you know in the end, you have made a USA out of yourself. USA, USA.
That's right, Patera, because the red, white, and blue ain't going to do nothing for you, Patera. You want me back? Well, I'm going to humiliate you arm wrestling before I humiliate you wrestling. Patera, I want you.
Canadian strongman Dino Bravo meets Ken Patera at the John F. Kennedy Coliseum August 7th. And right now, the World Wrestling Federation has a crush for you. Welcome back to the WWF Event Center. And what a night it will be at the John F. Kennedy Coliseum Sunday night, August 7th. What about this matchup? Special Delivery Jones to face Dangerous Danny Davis. Right now, Jimmy Hart is standing by talking about this encounter.
Dangerous Danny Davis, baby. A bright spot in the Hart Foundation. And look who we've got. It's SD Special Delivery Jones. You know, SD, I know you're big, and you think you're bad, and you're rough, and you're tough, but you ain't gonna be hard to block, baby, because you see, you're messing with the Hart Foundation. And when you snooze, you lose, SD. So just remember, when you mess with Danny Davis, you mess with a bull, you just might get the horn.
Strong words from Jimmy Hart, but remember, Dangerous Danny Davis is the one to step into the ring with Special Delivery Jones. And what about this match? Dino Bravo to meet Ken Patera.
I'm proud to be an American, and I'm also proud to be able to celebrate our country's 212th birthday this 4th of July. 212, that's a very significant number. 212 degrees Fahrenheit is the point where water begins to boil, Dino Bravo. And you're looking at a man that's already boiling for what you have created. That's right, you have created somewhat of a monster in Ken Patera. You made a big mistake, Dino Bravo. You didn't choke me out for good with that rope. But now it's coming down to an arm wrestling contest prior to a wrestling match. That's right. And I'm not only going to beat you at arm wrestling, I'm going to beat you 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring.
It has gone on back and forth for some time now. Just who is the strongest man in the World Wrestling Federation? Perhaps we will find out Sunday night, August 7th.
All right, so we hear some promos for this C show, I guess we can call it. Maybe a D, I'm not really sure. As you guys have noticed last month and even into this month, we're actually doing some nights 4 shows a night. WWF really spreading it on, but when you have this much talent, I guess you can get away with it. On the card, it's Owen Hart, once again without the mask, pinning Barry Horowitz. Conquistadors scoring a win over the Rockers. You heard me right, the Masked Men defeating Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. That was not a typo. Also on the card, Dino Bravo scoring a victory over Ken Patera on forfeit as Patera attacked after defeating Bravo in an arm wrestling contest. So we're still making the rounds with this angle. I thought this had already been done in every city possible, but apparently not. Also on the card, Dangerous Danny Davis. We heard Jimmy Hart cut that promo. Davis was scheduled to take on Special Delivery Jones here in the semi-main, but it's actually Danny Davis scoring a win over George Scollin. SD Jones, a no-show for this event. And in the main event, Tito Santana picks up a victory over the Big Boss Man by DQ. I know what you guys are thinking. How can the Boss Man not defeat Santana, especially this early in his run? Well, look at the card. They had to send the fans home somewhat happy, and so Santana got to pick up the DQ victory there in the main event of the night. As we go on, August the 11th, Boise, Idaho at the BSU Pavilion. Match is going to see Kurt Hennig take on SD Jones. Sam Houston was slated to take on the Iron Sheik. Not sure who his replacement was, but also on the card, Outlaw Ron Bass versus DJ Peterson. Powers of Pain likely over the Bolsheviks. Hart Foundation versus the Rougeaus. Jake Roberts one-on-one with Rick Rude. And in the main event, this may be one of the first times ever, Randy Savage, WWF Champion, going one-on-one with Andre the Giant there in Boise. As we cut back to Canada, French Canada to be exact, up there in the Trois Rivières Coliseum on August the 11th. Also in Chicontini, I know I pronounced that wrong, here in Quebec as well, at the Centre Georges Vazina on August the 12th in front of 3,000 fans. Both nights going to see Frenchie Martin take on Lanny Poffo. Both guys splitting a win there. One-man gang over Hillbilly Jim. Rockers defeating the Conquistadors. It's Mike Sharp over Richard Charland. JYD defeating King Haku. And it's Tito Santana versus Dino Bravo. Of course, Bravo, a big name up there in Quebec. So this is actually going to be the headliner both nights. One night it's Tito going over. The following night, Dino Bravo scoring a win there in Quebec. As we continue on, similar cards on August 13th and 14th in Rimouski. The only change-up is King Haku going over on Junkyard Dog and Hillbilly Jim finally showing up to defeat Iron Mike Sharp. And finally, August 14th, just 1,700 fans in Granby, Quebec. The Dog back on top over King Haku and Hillbilly Jim pinning the one-man gang. The rest of the card similar to what I already reported. So we go on 3 nights in a row. Similar action August 11th through the 13th, Columbia, South Carolina at the Township Auditorium, Huntington, West Virginia at the Civic Center, and Syracuse, New York at the Onondaga War Memorial. Going to see Terry Taylor over Scott Casey. George the Animal Steele defeat Danny Davis on a countout. Except for in Syracuse, it's actually Danny Davis over Mike Masters, who is subbing for George Steele. On those cards, we're also going to see the Big Boss Man pinning Ken Patera with the Boss Man Slam. Bad News Brown over the Birdman Coco Beware. Tag Team Champions Demolition defeat the British Bulldogs, some nights on a DQ. It's Ted DiBiase every night pinning Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Brutus the Barber Beefcake over IC Champ Honky Tonk Man on a DQ. Except for in Syracuse, it's actually Honky Tonk scoring a pinfall over the Barber. And we're going to see similar cards. In fact, the same card in Lansing, Michigan, August the 14th at the Civic Center, except for some additional matches in Lansing, including the Hart Foundation losing to the Fabulous Rougeaus and WWF Champion Randy Savage coming in to team with Brutus Beefcake over Ted DiBiase and the Honky Tonk Man. So bringing the world champion and challenger into team with the IC crew in Lansing. And last but not least, Kingston, Ontario, August 15th. The only thing added to that card from what we've already announced was Iron Mike Sharp over Richard Charland. As we continue on August the 12th, heading out to the West Coast, Oakland, California, and the Coliseum, Blue Angel over Barry Horowitz, Outlaw Ron Bass downing DJ Peterson, Kurt Hennig over SD Jones, Fabulous Rougeaus continue to defeat the Hart Foundation, Powers of Pain over the Bolsheviks, Jake Roberts pinning Ravishing Rick Rude, and undisputed champion Randy Savage battling Andre the Giant to a double countout. As we continue on to the Z Channel, Los Angeles, California, going to air the Sports Arena card from August the 13th. Gorilla Monsoon and Superstar Graham on commentary. Guess they're getting ready for SummerSlam. As we get rolling, guys, Gorilla Monsoon heading backstage to have a couple of conversations. First with Ravishing Rick Rude, manager Bobby Heenan, and of course Rude getting ready to take on the Snake himself. And then we're going to hear from the Fabulous Rougeaus, who have a matchup with the Hart Foundation.
Gorilla Monsoon back here in the locker room area with Bobby the Brain Heenan, manager extraordinaire, ? And Ravishing Rick Rude. Some interesting things went down here in the Coliseum last month, Ravishing.
Was anything unexpected to you, Monsoon?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't expect you to go out there and grab the guy's snake.
The snake doesn't belong out by the ring, Monsoon. This is man against man, not man against beast.
There's a snake we allow out by the ring.
Don't you call my manager a snake, Monsoon. This is Bobby the Brain Heenan, the top manager in professional wrestling today, and he saw
without
what
a
went
champion.
down.
Does he have a champion? No. Are
Tell
you
him,
a champion?
Stick
Tell him,
around.
Bobby.
What?
Stick around. You want to talk about snakes? You want to talk about something low life? Fine. We'll talk about Jake's wife if that's what you want to do. Because that's the way
Cheryl
we
Roberts
feel.
is not what we're talking about.
Oh, you were mentioning snakes. Excuse me.
Pardon me. Yes. Continue.
Yes. Speaking of Cheryl Roberts, where is she? The victor should receive the spoils. Isn't that the way it should go, Monsoon?
Well, did you win?
I thought so. What do you think?
I didn't think so.
I left a man in the middle of the ring, a heap of flesh. What do you call it? Out of the goodness of my heart, I chose to walk away. I could have dealt him a more severe beating. You know that, Monsoon.
I think you were out of gas myself. I think that you've trimmed down so much to make your body so beautiful that now you don't have any stamina left.
Okay, then tell me the one about Little Red Riding Hood. I like that one too, Monsoon. I'm the best conditioned man.
We'll see what happens in this big, exciting return match.
You want to know where Cheryl is?
Gorilla Monsoon once again in the locker room area with Jacques and Raymond, the fabulous Rougeau brothers, who claim, in fact, that they love the U.S. of A.
I mean, Mr. Monsoon, I'm saying Mr. What do you mean we claim? We love the United States of America. I got some news, as a matter of fact, but I'll keep it for a little later.
Oh, well, maybe you'd like to enlighten us with some of your news, Ray.
Well, you know, the news right now is we're going to wrestle the Hart Foundation. You know, Mr. Monsoon.
Former champions, I might add.
Oh, former is right, because they've got a lot of dissension in their camp over there.
How did you know we were Canadian champions? Former champions?
No, I was talking about the Hart Foundation.
Oh, okay,
They were
okay.
WWF champions.
I'm sorry.
I didn't know that you guys were former Canadian champions.
5 years and undefeated.
5 years and
That's
undefeated.
Right. And you know what?
Why didn't you just stay there if you were doing so well?
Because
in
we
Canada?
love the USA. We're planning on moving to the United States of America.
I'm having a meeting next Monday with President Jack Tunney, the World Wrestling Federation, try to see if we can't get you guys paid off in Canadian dollars. Would you be object to that?
Well, we have a contract in U.S. dollars because we love USA so much.
Mr. Monsoon,
Yes.
I have to say this because a lot of people, well, since we're moving to the United States pretty soon, a lot of people are asking us, like, well, I got tons of letters. Raymond's got tons of letters. Like, where are you guys moving in the United States? So
I mean, they want to move out in case you're in their neighborhood.
No, Mr. Monsoon. So we set this up real good. We have a number, 1-800-FABULOUS, and call us and ask us where you want the
More
fabulous
action headed your way in just a moment. We'll be back.
All right, once again, the Rougeaus encouraging everyone to dial 1-800-FABULOUS. Let them know where you want them to move. As with the Iron Sheik no longer in the company, he is removed from the card. Instead, it's a guy by the name of Black Jack. And I have read this Black Jack fellow in a mask is West Coast mainstay for a very long time, Wildman Jack Armstrong, but it's Sam Houston scoring the win here with the Bulldog. Also on the card, the Blue Angel, the future Blue Blazer, Owen Hart scoring a win over Barry Horowitz with the Moonsault. Powers of Pain over the Bolsheviks with their finisher, the running power slam of the Warlord, followed by the Barbarians diving headbutt, scoring a win there over Boris Zukov. Also on the card, Kurt Hennig, pre-Mr. Perfect, defeating Special Delivery Jones with the axe, the big running forearm across the forehead of one SD. And it's kind of interesting here, as Jesse Ventura just happens to be in Hollywood. Jesse Ventura doing guest commentary for the Kurt Hennig matchup. Also on the card, WWF Champion Randy Savage battling Andre the Giant to a double countout. And much like we saw in the Dibiase match in Boston, it's Andre grabbing hold of Elizabeth's ankle here, injuring the lovely Liz. Randy Savage able to carry his manager backstage, and hopefully she's doing better. But if you guys thought that was the end of it, guess again. Later in the show, Savage is going to come back out, vowing to kick the ass of Andre the Giant when they return here to Los Angeles. We'll have to wait and see if that matchup does return or not. Also on the card in LA, Fabulous Rougeaus again stealing a win over the Hart Foundation. Bret Hart dropping Raymond this time with his pile driver hold, but Jacques coming off behind the referee's back, blasting Bret and allowing the Rougeaus again to steal the win. Then from there, Outlaw Ron Bass scoring a win over DJ Peterson with his pedigree type maneuver, but it wasn't the matchup that stuck out here to me. It was instead Bass going nose to nose on the floor, challenging Gorilla Monsoon to a fight. And Monsoon not going to back down. He's ready for the Outlaw here, but it's Superstar Graham cooling the Gorilla down and preventing us all from seeing one of the awesomest things we could have ever seen in 1988. Gorilla Monsoon getting ready to throw down against the Outlaw here as we continue on. Also on the card, Jake Roberts scoring a surprise victory over Ravishing Rick Rude. We don't see a whole lot of pinfalls here in the feud just yet, but Rick Rude trying to slam Jake back in over the top from the apron. Jake holding onto the ropes, causing Rude to stagger, take a bump down. Jake landing on top, picking up the victory. Post-match, Rude going to attack the Snake Man, but Jake gets the last laugh as Damien comes out of the bag. And we roll on August 15th, Omaha, Nebraska, Civic Auditorium, 5,248 fans. Going to see the Blue Angel over Barry Horowitz. Terry Taylor defeats Scott Casey. Kurt Hennig defeats Sam Houston. It's Outlaw Ron Bass over SD Jones. Powers of Pain defeat the Bolsheviks. Jake Roberts again pinning Ravishing Rick Rude. Brutus Beefcake over the Mighty Hercules. Rematch from WrestleFest there. Also Andre the Giant scoring yet another win over Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Also August the 15th at the Palace in Auburn Hills, Michigan. First card at the Palace, guys. George the Animal Steele over Danny Davis on a countout. Bad News pinning Coco Beware. Boss Man over Ken Patera. Fabulous Rougeaus downing the Hart Foundation. Greg Valentine over Rock Don Morocco. Tag Champs Demolition defeating the British Bulldogs. Ultimate Warrior over IC Champion Honky Tonk Man on a DQ. And WWF Champion Randy Savage defeating Ted DiBiase on a countout. All three titles on the line there in the brand new venue in Auburn Hills. As we roll on 4 nights in a row, same card from August 19th through the 22nd in Miami, Florida, Miami Arena, Landover at the Cap Center, Richfield Coliseum in Richfield, Ohio, and the Civic Center in Glens Falls, New York. Going to see Tito Santana battle King Haku to a time limit draw. Every night, Tito blasting Haku with that flying forearm just as time runs out. Also, Big Boss Man defeating Sam Houston with the Boss Man Slam. Fabulous Rougeaus over the Hart Foundation. Powers of Pain defeating the Bolsheviks. Warrior Man over the Intercontinental Champion Honky Tonk on a DQ. Jimmy Hart getting involved there, using the megaphone, giving the Warrior the win. Also on the cards, no more Sheiky Baby, so he's replaced by Kurt Hennig on these shows. Hennig scoring a win over Terry Taylor in Miami. And then the other nights, it's Hennig over Leaping Lanny Poffo. Also, Terry Taylor in everywhere but Miami, scoring wins over DJ Peterson. And every night, Randy Savage battling Andre the Giant to a double countout. But that's not the only thing going on over that 4-night period. August 19th through the 22nd again, this time Greenville, South Carolina, Memorial Auditorium, Viking Hall in Bristol, Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee at the Thompson's Bowling Arena. Any relation to Kenny? Also Memorial Auditorium, Utica, New York. Going to see the Blue Angel. Some nights, reportedly the Blue Blazer now over Barry Horowitz. Ken Patera defeating Dino Bravo. I've also seen Bravo over Patera some nights. George Steele defeating Dangerous Danny Davis. Outlaw Ron Bass over Hillbilly Jim. Jim Duggan scoring wins over Ted DiBiase by DQ. Wait a minute, you're telling me Duggan couldn't work Glens Falls, New York? No, instead, Duggan in Utica on the same night, picking up a victory over the $1 Million Man by DQ. It's tag team champions Demolition over the British Bulldogs, and Jake Roberts defeating Ravishing Rick Rude as we go on 9 nights in a row, August 19th through the 27th, getting close to SummerSlam, guys. Going to take a look at this C show, and these shows going to take place in cities like Scranton, Pennsylvania at the CYC, Frederick, Maryland, Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, Athens, Pennsylvania at the high school gym, Hudson, New York, Poughkeepsie, New York, the old Mid-Hudson Civic Center, Groton, Connecticut at the Grosso Southeastern Technical School, also in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, Wallace Civic Center, and Burlington, Vermont at the Memorial Auditorium. Shows drawing anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 depending on the night, except for in Athens, reportedly 300 fans. And we're going to look at some of the matches there in Athens in just a moment that differ a little bit from the other cities. 300 fans. Wow. Action going to see SD Jones over at George Scotland. Iron Mike Sharp defeating Bill Woods on this tour. Bill Woods replacing Brady Boone. Odd choice. It's Rock Don Morocco over Greg Valentine under disqualification. Match reportedly goes anywhere between 20, and this has to be a typo, 30 minutes. Morocco and Valentine. Well, it does take a while to get the hammer going, but still. Also on the card, Bad News Brown over Coco Beware. The Rockers defeating the Conquistadors. Now in Athens, Bill Woods actually in action over Mario Mancini. So bringing the big guns there in Athens. Also a guy by the name of Don Adams, not Inspector Gadget. Adams over George Scotland. Match goes 12 minutes. Egads. And in Poughkeepsie and Groton, it's SD Jones over George Scotland on a countout and Iron Mike Sharp pinning Bill Woods, using that old loaded forearm O'Doom. Also taking place 10 nights in a row, August the 19th through August 28th, in places like Enid, Oklahoma, Muskogee, Oklahoma, Bentonville, Arkansas, Joplin, Missouri at the old Memorial Hall, St. Joseph, Missouri at the Civic Arena, Kicksville, Missouri, Jacksonville, Illinois, Richmond, Indiana at the Tierman Center, and Sharpsville, Indiana at the Tri-Central High School Gym. You can kind of guess where this is going as far as the cards go. With some of the more obscure cities, going to see Scott Casey reportedly over Sandy Beach. I've also seen Terry Gibbs, though if Gibbs did return here, it was very short term. Also, midget tag team action on these cards. Karate Chris Dubé and Little Cruz over Little Tokyo and Lord Littlebrook. Ladies champion Sherry over Rock and Robin. Killer Bees defeating the Young Stallions. Now in Muskogee, there's no Brian Blair, so instead it's the Young Stallions scoring a win over Jumpin' Jim Brunzell and Pork Chop Cash. What a tag team. I sure hope Pork Chop wore the B-trunks there. Jim Brunzell and Pork Chop Cash doing a job for the Young Stallions. Also on the card every night, JYD over One Man Gang by DQ. And the big matchup coming to your town, Brutus the Barber Beefcake pinning the Mighty Hercules. Some D shows there, 10 nights in a row, working the Midwest. Interesting. As we go on to our next set of tapings, set to air after SummerSlam, Providence, Rhode Island at the Civic Center. Sellout crowd of 13,800 fans taking place August 23rd. Talking about some Superstars tapings. Dark match is going to see the Intercontinental Champion Honky Tonk Man team with Dangerous Danny Davis. Davis subbing here for Greg Valentine. It's Honky and Davis over the Hart Foundation after interference from the Rougeaus brothers. Also, Rick Rude defeating Jake Roberts by DQ. Hacksaw Jim Duggan over Ted DiBiase on a DQ. And the Ultimate Warrior pinning the Honky Tonk Man to win the Intercontinental title in just a matter of seconds. And wouldn't you know it, once again, Jack Tunney reversing the decision later on in the TV taping. But it doesn't end there. Talk about a loaded dark match card here for this Superstars taping. Also, WWF Champion Randy Savage battling Andre the Giant to a double count out, and some matches taped for TV. Going to air All-American September 11th. Kurt Hennig over Ron Rougeaus with that axe clothesline, that big forearm across the front of the head. Going to have to change that up, Kurt. Also scheduled to air a couple of matches here on the September 13th primetime. The tag team of Hillbilly Jim and Sam Houston. Hillbilly, Cowboy, same difference, eh, Vince? They score a win over Gene Ligon and George South, the Mid-Atlantic Express in Providence. You want to talk about Crockett talent? Terry Taylor also picking up a win for primetime with the Scorpion Deathlock over David Isley. Definitely some NWA prelim guys here being used on this show in Rhode Island as we move ahead. A following day, my birthday. Also happens to be the birthday of one Vince McMahon. August the 24th, Hartford, Connecticut at the Civic Center. 16,000 fans sell out for the Wrestling Challenge taping. Warrior Man over the IC champion Honky Tonk by DQ. But Warrior actually going to steal the title belt after the matchup and bring it out to the ring for the remainder of the TV tapings. I guess Hartford, too close to Providence, didn't want to work the angle 2 nights in a row here. So Warrior just stealing the belt in Connecticut. Also scheduled to air September 13th, primetime wrestling, Dino Bravo over Tito Santana on a countout. The Powers of Pain with their new manager, the Baron. Powers of Pain going over on Tag Team Champions Demolition by disqualification after interference from Mr. Fuji. The Baron gonna make the save. Looking forward to that airing on September 13th, primetime, guys. Also, dark matches gonna see Savage battle Andre to another double countout, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan over the $1 Million Man by DQ. As the World Wrestling Federation heads back up north for a trifecta of shows in Canada, starting in Vancouver, British Columbia, Pacific Coliseum, August the 25th, Calgary, Alberta at the Saddle Dome, August the 26th, in front of 6,000 fans, and finally Edmonton, Alberta, the Northlands Coliseum, August the 27th, 13,500 fans, more than double that in Calgary, though to be fair, the arena holds quite a few more fans. Right now, we're going to hear promos from several of the talent coming to Canada, including Hacksaw Jim Duggan, manager Jimmy Hart, on behalf of Dangerous Danny Davis. We're going to hear from Slick and his man, the Big Boss Man, Ken Patera, the British Bulldogs, and Andre the Giant.
Hello once again, sports fans. Billy Red Lions here again for the World Wrestling Federation. And a reminder to everyone in the Calgary area that the World Wrestling Federation returns to the beautiful Olympic Saddle Dome right here in Calgary on Friday, August the 26th. In the main event, Andre the Giant will go against Hacksaw Jim Duggan. World Wrestling Federation tag team titles on the line. Calgary's favorites, the British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith and the Dynamite Kid, will take on Demolition's Axe and Smash. Intercontinental title also up for grabs. The Honky Tonk Man will risk his title against Ultimate Warrior. Ken Patera faces Dino Bravo, and prior to their match, they will have an arm wrestling contest. Also in a one-on-one, young Sam Houston takes on one of the newest comers to the World Wrestling Federation and one of the biggest, the Big Boss Man, George the Animal Steele. He will battle former referee Dangerous Danny Davis. Now standing by at this time, one half of the main event, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Let's go to him for his comments.
Some people think I'm crazy. Some people think I'm nuts. But some people out there believe that Hacksaw Jim Duggan just stands up for the things he believes in. And that's why I'm standing up to the 8th wonder of the world. That's why I got eye to eye to him and challenged to a wrestling match. That's when he snuck in and got that cheap chokehold on me. And of course, that's when I chopped some liver. That's lumber. Excuse me. That's when I put the Big Giant down for the first time in history. And that's why I want you one-on-one, Giant. Weasel, you keep your nose out of my business. Giant, you stop on down to the ring, look across over the corner, and you're going to see Hacksaw Jim Duggan staring back at you. Tough guy.
And in a one-on-one, George the Animal Steele will go against Dangerous Danny Davis, and standing by at this time for Dangerous Danny Davis, his manager, the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart.
You know, George the Animal Steele, you know, he's a complete idiot. He's so crazy. He he doesn't wrestle. He eats turnbuckles, he throws chairs, and now all of a sudden he's got this little manager, or whatever he calls this thing, is called mine. It's a little fuzzy, some kind of animal that hooks on the rope, and well, let me tell you something, George. You want to bring that stupid little dummy animal out there that looks like George's animal Steele with a green tongue, and he's got hair all over his body? Well, you bring it, because you see, Dangerous Danny Davis in the mouth of the South, we're going to tear it up and throw it into the audience.
And we'll be coming back with another exciting match after these important messages. 2 exciting matches on this spectacular card are title matches. 1, World Wrestling Federation Tag Team titles on the line, the British Bulldogs. Davey Boy Smith and the Dynamite Kid, they will take on the Demolitions, Axe and Smash. Also, that Intercontinental title match, Ultimate Warrior goes against the champion, Honky Tonk Man. And in a one-on-one, young Sam Houston takes on one of the newest comers to the World Wrestling Federation and one of the biggest, Big Boss Man, who's standing by at this time with his manager, the Doctor of Style, Slick.
Sam Houston, your name has come up on the list. Yes, you are one of those individuals who must be dealt with. You are one of those individuals who must be chastised by the Big Boss Man. You have been found guilty of unfair play and injustice in the World Wrestling Federation. And how will you deal with him?
Houston, I'm here to enforce my rules, my regulations. It all consists of pain for you.
In another one-on-one confrontation that everyone is looking forward to, Ken Patera, former Olympian, will take on Canada's strongest man, Dino Bravo, as he calls himself. And prior to their match, they will have an arm wrestling contest.
When I competed in the World Championships, the Pan American Games, the Olympic Games, every time I was victorious, they raised the Stars and Stripes and sang our national anthem. And they started chanting, USA, USA. That made me very, very proud. It made me want to be a winner. And Dino Bravo, you don't like the people chanting USA, USA, USA. Well, get used to it, Dino Bravo, and get used to Ken Patera putting lumps and bumps on your watermelon head. I'm going to tell you, Bravo, you made one mistake with that rope. You didn't choke me out for good. That's right. Now I'm going to beat you in an arm wrestling contest, and then I'm going to finish you off in the squared circle, and Frenchie Martin, keep your nose out.
Remember, it's a triple main event. In 1, the 8th wonder of the world, Andre the Giant, faces Hacksaw Jim Duggan. In the other, World Wrestling Federation Tag Team titles on the line, the British Bulldogs, Dynamite Kid and Davey Boy Smith, 2 of the all-time favorites with the World Wrestling Federation, will go against Demolitions, Axe and Smash. The Intercontinental title also up for grabs. The Honky Tonk Man will risk his title against the Ultimate Warrior. Also in a one-on-one, George the Animal Steele faces Dangerous Danny Davis. Well, as I mentioned earlier, the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team titles will be on the line. The former champions, the British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith and the Dynamite Kid, 2 of the all-time favorites with the World Wrestling Federation, will face Demolitions, Axe and Smash, and standing by at this time, the British Bulldogs.
You know, Demolition, you've been chased all over the World Wrestling Federation by good tag team combinations. But let me tell you something. Let me tell you one thing, Demolition. You have not been challenged by the British Bulldogs. But me and the Dynamite Kid, we've worked hard. We've worked ourselves back to the top of that ladder. And now it's time, Demolition, to step in the ring with the ex-World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions and feel what it's like to step in the ring with 2 mad dogs. Isn't that right, Dynamite?
That's right, Demolition. You better get ready because the Bulldogs have been working out and we're ready for you, Demolition, for the World Championship match. Mr. Fuji, you can be in the corner. We'll be watching you too. The Bulldogs are ready. We're going in, go in that ring, out-wrestle you, out-maneuver you, embarrass you, humiliate you, and beat you 1, 2, 3, and we're going to take those belts right back.
And the 8th wonder of the world, Andre the Giant, will be going against Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Standing by at this time with his manager, Bobby the Brain Heenan, the 8th wonder of the world, Andre the Giant.
Boy, did you make a mistake, Hacksaw. Or should I say Jigsaw? You know why we call you Jigsaw? There's going to be some missing pieces.
Jigsaw Duggan, you may put me down once. Use a 2x4. But believe me, now I'm up. I'm up for good. Because I never lost a match in my life. And Hacksaw Jim Duggan, you get me mad. And believe me, when I'm mad, I'm mad.
Okay, a reminder one more time. It's Friday, August the 26th, right here in Calgary's beautiful Olympic Saddle Dome. The main event, Andre the Giant will battle Hacksaw Jim Duggan. World Wrestling Federation Tag Team titles on the line. Demolitions, Axe and Smash will risk their titles against the British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith, and the Dynamite Kid. Intercontinental title also up for grabs. Honky Tonk Man will risk his title against the Ultimate Warrior. Ken Patera will go against Dino Bravo, and prior to their match, they will have an arm wrestling contest. Also in one-on-ones, Sam Houston, he takes on Big Boss Man. George the Animal Steele, who will have his mascot, Mine, with him, will go against Dangerous Danny Davis. Remember, this spectacular card all takes place on Friday, August the 26th, right here in the Olympic Saddle Dome. Don't you dare miss it.
All right, now we're going to take a look at some of the results here going down in these Canadian towns. Big Boss Man over Sam Houston. Kurt Hennig defeating DJ Peterson. It's the Ultimate Warrior over Honky Tonk Man by disqualification, so Honky will retain that IC title. Dino Bravo scoring wins over Ken Patera on a forfeit, continuing to do the arm wrestling gig. Patera winning that one and getting attacked and beaten down, unable to wrestle following the arm wrestling contest, so Bravo scoring forfeiture wins. Not sure that's really fair. Now in Vancouver, it's Terry Taylor over Dangerous Danny Davis. George Steele a no-show in Vancouver. But in Calgary and Edmonton, it's actually Terry Taylor scoring wins over Ben Bassarab, a Stampede notable. And also on the cards, we heard them speak already, talking about Andre the Giant over Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and Tag Team Champions Demolition putting away the British Bulldogs. As we continue on, also August 25th and 26th in Halifax, Nova Scotia at the Forum, and Moncton, New Brunswick at the Coliseum. In Halifax, we're going to see King Haku over Richard Charland. In Moncton, it's King Haku over Stephen Pettipa. Don't see his name too often here in the WWF results, but we are in Canada after all. Also on the card every night, Ron Bass over Lanny Poffo. The Blue Blazer defeating Barry Horowitz. Powers of Pain over the Bolsheviks. Jake Roberts defeating Rick Rude on a countout. Fabulous Rougeaus over the Hart Foundation in their native Canada. And WWF Champion Randy Savage scoring pinfall victories over the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. As we begin to get down to the nitty-gritty, 3 cards left for you here, guys, before we close out this week's episode. And a similar card to the ones we just looked at, but some different finishes here taking place at the Spectrum, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in front of just 4,418 fans. That's 4,418 fans in the Philly Spectrum. What was going on here that night? Jamie Ward, we got to find out here. As the Meltzer notes, this is the second smallest wrestling crowd ever for a Spectrum event. Now, this show going to be televised on the Prism Network featuring Dick Graham, Superstar Graham, and Lord Alfred Hayes on commentary. The Golden Grahams, Dick and Billy Graham here on commentary alongside his lordship. As we go off now, we're going to go backstage to Killer Cal Rudman. He's got a few interviews lined up, including the likes of Tito Santana, Ravishing Rick Rude, and this man, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
Interview area with Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and Virgil. Tonight is the night, the revenge match of all time. You've seen the build-up to all of this on television. I'm shaking and quivering and trembling as I think about what's going to happen after this interview.
Shaking and quivering and trembling, standing between me and Virgil. But I tell you, who should really be shaking is you, Savage. You call this a revenge match. Savage calls this a revenge match. Revenge on the $1 Million Man because we put our hands on your lovely Elizabeth. Well, let me tell you something, Savage. I've said this before. I'm going to say it again right now. Elizabeth is a female manager in a predominantly man sport. If she can't take the heat, she should get out of the kitchen. Nobody stands in the way of the $1 Million Man and his destiny. And his destiny is that gold belt that you wear around your waist. Now, I'll tell you something, Savage, taking nothing away from you, because you are undoubtedly a great athlete, or you wouldn't have got to the point where you are now in your career. But the truth is, you know it and everybody else knows it, that when you step in the ring with Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, you have stepped out of your class. Time and time again, you have eluded me. There's only one thing that I haven't done since I've been in the World Wrestling Federation, and I can stand here and I can talk all night telling you what I have done. The simple fact is this: I've gone through everybody. I've done everything. I've bought everything. I have bought everybody that I said I would buy. And you snuck away from WrestleMania 4 by the skin of your teeth. And the last time that we were here in the Philadelphia Spectrum, the only thing you left that ring with was that belt. Because I had everything else. I had your pride, and I made you take a nosedive, and poor lovely Elizabeth, she bit the dust too. Well, nothing's going to change tonight, Savage. If she can't take the heat, you better leave her in the dressing room. Because tonight, I'm going to get what is rightfully mine. That gold belt. It's coming here. It's coming right around this waist because this is where it belongs. This is where it was meant to be. You undoubtedly cannot see that. Why, I don't know. You should be more intelligent than you are, Savage, but for some unforeseen reason, you can't seem to get it through your thick skull that I am the premier athlete in professional wrestling today. Tonight, here, return match. You know, normally, I'm a very patient man because I can afford to be patient. Well, my patience has run as thin as it can possibly run. Because the only thing I don't have in the World Wrestling Federation is that belt, Savage, and I want it. And tonight, right here in the Spectrum, it belongs to me.
Okay, heavy talk. We'll see what happens. We'll be right back. About to interview one of the great favorites of the fans that come to the Spectrum. I refer, of course, to Tito Santana. Come on in, Tito.
How you doing, Killer Cal?
I do fine now that you're back. I mean, we haven't seen you for about 6 months.
Yeah, it's been a while. You know, I miss coming here to wrestle in Philadelphia. And, of course, most of the people know that I'm on my own now. My partner has received an injury. I don't even know when he'll be back. But I've started on my own again, and the people know what I've done in the past on my own. And it's going to be a long journey to the top, Killer Cal, but I guarantee you, with the fan support, there's no doubt in my mind that it won't be long before Tito Santana will be up there again, wrestling against the top contenders. There's a lot of things going on with the World Championship belt, the Intercontinental belt, and I guarantee you I aim to be one of the #1 contenders real soon, Killer Cal.
Well, you have held championships in the past, and, of course, you fought solo most of your career. And, of course, it is, of course, Rick Martel, who we're talking about, who was injured.
Yeah, Rick Martel, we were very successful. You know, the Strike Force probably went up to the top faster than any tag team in the history of tag team championship wrestling. And a tragedy happened at the hands of the Demolition. He received a concussion. Most of the people here saw what happened. And you know, you can recover from a leg injury, you can recover from a knee injury, but a head injury, the doctors will not release you. The commissions are very, very strict. And at this point, I'm still waiting for Rick Martel to come back. But I guarantee you, Rick Martel, wherever Tito Santana shows up, I represent still the Strike Force, and I fight for us. I haven't given up on you. I'm still waiting. But if you know, for some unforeseeable reason, he is not able to come back, Tito Santana will make a mark again here in the World Wrestling Federation. Probably tougher now than it's been in the past, but I guarantee you, Tito Santana is in better shape and better condition and is a lot smarter than he was several years ago, Killer Cal. I'm ready.
Now, you're going to fight King Haku. What do you think?
Well, this is you know, right away they throw you into the fire. You know, King Haku, the latest acquisition in the singles of the Weasel. He's made him the king. You know, he's taken over the ex-king, the new king, and the Weasel has brought new life, has showed him individual things to do to break the rules, to get ahead. They make fun of Tito Santana, saying that Tito Santana cannot do it alone. Well, let me tell you something, Weasel. I've done it alone for many, many years. You know, they say that Tito Santana is going to be bowing. Well, the people are going to see this match taking place. The only time, Weasel, I'm going to be bowing is when I'm going to be picking up at No Good Haku to put the boots to him. I'm here in Philadelphia for one reason, to start a new career for Tito Santana. No way am I going to let the king beat Tito Santana. I'm coming to win. I'm coming to beat you, Weasel. I've got plenty for you too, baby. If you stick your nose in my match, liable to get chopped off, Weasel. Arriba!
We've got a lot to look forward to when we come right back. Interview Ravishing Rick Rude, the man with a beautiful body, who tonight comes up against one of the toughest competitors he could. Want to talk about it?
First of all, Cal, let's discuss how you got the nickname Killer. Obviously nothing to do with your size. It must have to do with your breath.
That's a long story.
Obviously. The fact of the matter is, Jake the Snake Roberts has bit off a little bit more than he can chew with Ravishing Rick Rude. I think what the man ought to do is just let his wife take her turn at me and settle it all right now.
That's a tough thing to say on television.
I can say whatever I want, wherever I want, Cal, because not only am I the sexiest man alive, I'm the baddest cat you'll ever interview.
Are you undefeated? course I'm undefeated. I'm undefeated in the ring, and I'm undefeated after hours, if you know what I mean. You really think you can take Jake the Snake that easy? You know he's tough. You have to admit it.
Oh, yes, he's very tough. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Oh, okay. Jake the Snake is a devastating opponent. He's got the DDT. But you see, Cal, what it amounts to is the man has to be with it 100% physically and mentally, and he's gone upstairs, you see. He's off his rocker. He's wacko. He knows his woman wants me, and that would drive any man crazy.
Well, it could work the other way. It could make him even tougher and really go after you.
Obviously, you don't know too much about our sport, Cal. You've got to be with it physically. You got to be with it mentally. I'm not saying he's not going to come after me with 110% because I know he's going to. But I'm just saying 110% isn't enough for me. He's got to give me more than that.
Okay, you made some big promises, and we'll be right back and see how well you keep them in the ring.
All right, so straight out of the gate, the Iron Sheik no more here in the company, so Outlaw Ron Bass subbing in over Leaping Lanny Poffo. The fabulous Rougeaus again steal a win over the Hart Foundation. The Blue Blazer continues to defeat Barry Horowitz with that moonsault. It's WWF champion Randy Savage over Ted DiBiase by DQ. It looked as if Savage was going to score the win, ramming DiBiase into that unprotected steel turnbuckle, but Virgil running in to make the save, drawing the DQ. The Macho Man will go over by disqualification. Also, King Haku battling Tito Santana to a 15-minute time limit draw. Powers of Pain over the Bolsheviks definitively. And Ravishing Rick Rude scoring a win over Jake the Snake Roberts by a countout. Match goes nearly 20 minutes. The Snake Man going to take the count out and post the match going after Rick Rude. Referee stepping in between. Jake blasting the official, knocking him out before going after Rude with Damien. And I got to say, most nights, Rick Rude doing a tremendous job of making it look like Damien is just constricting the hell out of him all around the legs, his torso, even his neck. So great job here by Ravishing Rick, who clearly was a trooper throughout this feud. As we go on, a couple of shows here, August the 28th, as we close up shop. Montreal, Quebec, already returning to the Forum, guys. Big Boss Man over Coco Beware. Terry Taylor defeating Richard Charland. It's Dino Bravo downing the WWF champion Randy Savage on a countout. Boy, I wonder if that was a sellout. British Bulldogs over the Bolsheviks. Andre the Giant defeating Jake the Snake Roberts. The Outlaw Ron Bass over Leaping Lanny Poffo. And the Powers of Pain scoring a victory over Tag Team Champions Demolition on a disqualification. Gotta wonder if some of these matches are promoting things to come here heading into the fall on the house shows. Bravo and Randy Savage in Montreal. I'm sure they did well. Well, I lied, guys. I thought we were down to our final show, but we actually have 2 shows left here on the 28th, including one in Manchester, New Hampshire. Returning for the second time here in August to the JFK Coliseum is the WWF, and this time we do know they draw a whopping 900 fans. I guess it pays to run here every 3 or 4 weeks. Going to see SD Jones over George Scotland. Greg Valentine defeat Don Morocco. Rockers in a rematch over the Conquistadors this time around. Iron Mike Sharp pinning Bill Woods. And Hacksaw Jim Duggan over the $1 Million Man by disqualification. UWF main eventers, Duggan and DiBiase drawing 900 in New Hampshire. One final piece of business here. Back to the Maple Leaf Garden, Toronto, Ontario, August the 28th. 16,000 fans coming to see the return of the Hulkster to the Maple Leaf Gardens here. But first, they're going to see Owen Hart over Barry Horowitz. Kurt Hennig defeats Sam Houston. King Haku over Tito Santana. It's Ravishing Rick Rude pinning Ken Patera. Hart Foundation battling the fabulous Rougeaus to a time limit draw. Also on the card, the Ultimate Warrior downing IC champion Honky Tonk Man on a DQ, thanks to interference from Jimmy Hart. And Hulk Hogan returns to town to defeat Bad News Brown with the leg drop. And of course, the following day, August the 29th, takes us to SummerSlam, Madison Square Garden, New York, New York, guys. Looking forward to getting to that in just a few weeks' time here on The Grenade. Going to dissect that one, both on the Grenade podcast as well as in VIP videocast form. So again, you definitely want to join that VIP superfan tier over at patreon.com/WrestleCopia today. Lots of great stuff coming your way. But for right now, we're going to wrap things up. Next time around, going to kick off the first 2 weeks of August TV here for 1988 in the World Wrestling Federation. The hype continues on to the big SummerSlam pay-per-view between the Mega Powers and the Mega Bucks. Guest referee, Jesse Ventura, plus 9 other matches scheduled for the pay-per-view as well. Going to continue to look at all of that, all the newcomers coming in here right now, and so much more on the horizon as the summer of '88 continues on. A reminder to go over to WrestleCopia.com. Check out all of the great podcasts we have going on right now, including Captain Nick Massey's Captain's Corner podcast, The Wrestling Stoop with Bob Roop. Again, Regional Wrestling had a great interview recently with the author of the book Professional Wrestling and the Law, Mr. Alex B. Long, and also have another upcoming interview as we do an overview of the old Indianapolis territory, the old WWA ran by Dick the Bruiser, Wilbur Snyder. Going to have Wrestling Nostalgia's own Dave Dynasty on a special edition of Regional Wrestling, all of that and so much more over at WrestleCopia.com. You want to check it out, guys. And I also encourage everyone to head over to the social media platform X, formerly Twitter. You can find me there. Follow me there at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. Also, be sure to follow me over at Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. Not only updating you guys on everything going on here with the WrestleCopia brand, but I'm also constantly adding old school video clips and pictures from throughout wrestling history on my social media. And that goes the same for YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. Subscribe today for tons of great old school wrestling videos, as well as the videocast version of Gene Jackson's Retro Wrestling Review program. And again, I want to thank all of you guys for being the loyal listeners here of the Wrestling Memory Grenade. And I know a lot of people ask you to do this, but I truly mean it. If you guys could just spare a couple minutes of your time, head over and leave a 5-star review over at your favorite podcast streaming platform like Apple, Spotify, etc. It would greatly be appreciated. It helps build the brand. And please, if you are on social media, if you do follow the Grenade or you do follow WrestleCopia, please retweet, share these posts of the new episodes. Get the word out there. Help the Wrestling Memory Grenade and all the great shows here continue to grow as a brand. I would greatly appreciate it, guys. But it's time to close up shop here this week. So this is Ray Russell saying from pillar to post and coast to coast. You pull the pin and I'll pick up the pieces right here on the Wrestling Memory Grenade. I'll see you next week. Don't miss it. Be there!
You know, a lot of people like us to come, since they know we're moving to the United States, they want to know, where are you guys moving? Well, we have a phone number. It's 1-800-FABULOUS, and you can call us and ask us to go live in your city.